Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the MLS Now podcast. I'm your host, Russell. You can find me on social media. You can find me in your ears. You can find me on your favorite podcast app. But more importantly, out of all those things, you can find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. We are on Twitter. We're on Twitter X. We're on Blue Sky. We are on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We are on all the places that you could ever want to consume social media. Go find us there. But that's not all, folks. No. We have a lot of people to introduce here on this episode, starting with our most valuable co-host. You can find him on social media, specifically Blue Sky at MLS Gamma. It's Beau. Beau, welcome into the podcast.
Man, being labeled with the MVP is, it's early in the season. Performances can change, but I do just want to say this is a team award. I literally, one guy can't go out there and crush a podcast. You need those guys around you together who will come in, who will do the work, do the dirty work. And honestly, if I'm being honest, it's Russell and Gavin who really allowed me to shine. So really, this award is for everyone, not just me.
I think that the award should be for everyone who is presently here on the recording, which uh, unfortunately does mean that Gavin is excluded because while he joined us, he decided that it would be a great time to step away in the middle of this intro. So, anyways, here we are. Gavin's with us as well. You can go find him on social media at Lions Blog One, but that's neither here nor there. Hey, there he is.
Getting my dinner.
Well, he's back. He's got dinner. So, just a reminder, you can find him on social media at Lions Blog One. Now, folks, we have a lot to talk about today, but here's the thing. Something even more. Gavin, you keep that camera on, mister. I see him. He's
no
trying.
one wants
He's
to
trying.
watch me eat.
Lots of
Literally
Gavin,
no one.
There's an entire subsection of social media of people watching videos of people eating, just so you know, and it's extremely popular. Like you're right. We are not, Gavin. That's you. It's you on this episode. So, anyways, look, Gavin, irrelevant, right? Your side projects aside that you're now hiding from because he's gone off camera again in his shyness, but what he's hiding from here is a really important. We did some journalistic duty, some real digging, if you will. There was a feel good story that came out in and around MLS this week. It was a video that it surfaced of a very lucky fan who pulled the 1 of 1 of a Calvin Yaboa trading card.
Dude, that video was so cool.
It was an extremely cool video, and I thought to myself, how cool would it be to get that person onto the podcast? So we went out, I investigated the video, right? We had to, pull all the data down from it. We got the eyes and the ears, of the internet on board here, and we
had to hack some people's phones.
We
did. Some phone numbers, make some
Right.
calls.
We did find out a lot of personal information that we would rather not have known, but we discovered in the end it was actually Beau. Beau was that lucky fan who was featured in that video. Beau, first of all, congratulations, and second of all, how does it feel to be literally famous?
Dude, when you started with that, I actually thought that there was going to be some like heartwarming story when you did heartwarming. I was like, oh, like I could use a
this
win,
is a heartwarming story.
Like I could use a win after today, like today. That's no,
it is.
Yeah. I don't know what your question was, but yeah, that was me.
Right. Well, walk me through it. First of all, one, it was great seeing you in a shirt that was not a Dallas shirt in that video. But, I got to ask, was it just pure luck? Like, did you go down to this match thinking, I've got the 1 of 1 of Yaboa. I'm going to see if I can find this guy. Or was this just like a happy coincidence?
No, I specifically went down for it. It was kind of two things. For the last decade or so, I've always wanted to go down to a Houston Dynamo game. And, weekends I never really want to, and with Wednesday it was a Wednesday game, and it was a team I actually like. I really like Minnesota, and last year when they came through, Tani Oluwaseyi didn't play, and I like Tani Oluwaseyi and Kelvin Yeboah a lot, and so with Gold Cup and stuff this summer, and with Canada, Tawny being a Canada guy, and then they come in July, so there's a chance he may not come in. I was like, well, I'm just going to go down and watch Tawny play while I can. I've got the day off. I'll knock a thing off of the bucket list. So I actually had 2 1-of-1 cards. The other player, who I won't name
Hold
off
on,
air,
wait.
the other player I won't name off air kind of forgot about me. So it was, but that guy I had a feeling on, so I actually hung on to the card on that one before giving it to him. So, but anyway, yeah. So I got to meet Kelvin Yeboah. I mean, just awesome, class act, dude. I mean, most guys in MLS are. There's very few people like I won't. Oh, never mind. I almost named a name.
There's very few people
There's
who
very few players who are like
who would
not
forget
cool.
about a 1-of-1 card.
Right? Yeah. No, but it was cool. No, most players are in this league are really really cool and very very nice. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Let's be real, Beau. Let's be real.
Okay, let's do
You
it.
can say all you want, Taniela Shea, Kelvin Yeboah. You wanted to see Jack McGlynn play live.
Dude, oh my gosh. Yes. I'm not going to lie. It was a guy's, because I figured if I just said Jack McGlynn, like he would go ahead. Like I know he's investigating a restraining order. So like saying it on air, would like really, really.
I've got the police
myself.
on your tail
especially
now.
since I was going to see him like 3 days later anyway. So yeah. I went to see Jack McGlynn under the guise of seeing Kelvin Yeboah and Tawny Oluwaseyi.
Well, clearly it paid off. If for people who are not watching us on YouTube, hanging behind Beau is a Jack McGlynn, I believe a game-worn jersey. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to air both of them out still. They
well, I would imagine so.
Strong. The stench is strong.
Wow, what a problem to have, for soccer fans everywhere. They would, they'd be sitting there being like, man, what a cool thing. And Beau's just like, oh.
Yeah, well, I
process.
My wife has complained enough that it's like a thing of that. I'm like, she's like, you're stinking up the whole out. And I'm like, she does have a point, but.
Well,
hey, first
what?
world
Fair
problems,
enough.
am I right?
First world problem. Yeah. Well, hey, okay. So here's what we're going to do, though. We're going to first world problems of our own, right? We're going to sit here and say, what was the worst thing that happened to us this week? And, the 3 of us, right, have hit the spectrum, I think, of one person had their team win in rivalry week. Excellent. One person had their team draw in rivalry week, and one person did unfortunately have their team lose during rivalry week. So, we'll just briefly cover the relevant teams for us before we dive into the other ones, starting, of course, I feel like we boxed him out. We haven't given him his flowers, enough credit, right? His team did defeat the big evil, the great supervillains of MLS. So Gavin, congratulations on making literally everyone in the league happy. Orlando getting a win over Miami away. An away win over Miami in the rivalry match. So if you could, please try and maintain some objectivity. Try and maintain some semblance of decorum. We don't want to make David Beckham mad, huge proponent of respect over everything, according to social media. So, we ask that you keep that in mind. But I would like to hear your takes from this match.
I think I am the physical embodiment of elegance and triumph, I'd like to say. No, I was nervous going into the match last season. People remember the 5-0 destruction of Orlando City. Now, there is context from an Orlando City perspective. We were either right before or in between CONCACAF Champions Cup ties, and you could tell the players from minute one were focused more on the CONCACAF Champions League game against Tigres than against the Miami match. It was just really bad timing, I think, last year. But either way, that's just an excuse where in a sport, in an environment where there should be no excuses. So, yeah, we go into this one with that kind of monkey on our back, basically. And, in rivalries, form goes out the window. They have a great cast of players. I'm nervous. And I think the team were a little nervous to start the game, too. A couple of uncharacteristic plays from people, bad touches, loose touches. But then we grew into the game, and Miami really didn't threaten us. They had that one right-footed shot from Messi, if you watch the game, that forced a good save out of Galese. But other than that, really not a lot from them. A couple of good moments from us, but nothing crazy. Maybe a moment or two where you're like, if there was better quality, we would have scored. But then the controversial moment happens. Miami as a team switch off and we take advantage, long ball over the top, goal, and that just really, that was the game, I think, because Miami then had to chase. This was really a first goal wins, I think. Miami had to chase, and we were able to sit in our shell and pick our moments to go forward and attack. And I don't know, I guess before I go on, do we want to get into the controversial moment? I guess, Russell, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what
Okay.
you're talking about, Gavin.
So I'm just
I
gonna
gave this game full attention because it was the only thing on
fair.
Sunday night
That's fair.
at 7 p.m.
By the letter of the law, because I was genuinely curious. I didn't know what the law says on this. And it says that it has to be a deliberate pass to the goalkeeper. And in this instance, I think it's clear for everyone. Angulo is passing to Brecalo, our center back, and then he stops and then lets the ball roll to our goalkeeper. And then goalkeeper gets pressured, he picks it up, and then the controversy ensues because they think it's a back pass to him. I think, right. So one, it by the letter of the law, it's not the call. It's not an indirect free kick. And then also, the spirit of the law is that you can't just pass back to the goal and he picks it up and just play on. I don't think calling that would have been in the spirit of the law per se, so I think it doesn't hit that. And then also, historically, no referees really ever call it unless it is genuinely like a huge mistake from the goalkeeper. Like they pass it back and he forgets or something, and then it's like, yeah, you're breaking the rule. So I think no one ever calls it. I don't think it's a foul. I think play on, like, to even get upset about that is kind of like, it's more indicative that like you're just, things aren't going right for you and you're just hoping for something to go your way and you're just frustrated. That's the vibe I got. So that's my take on it.
I was gonna ask, is this even a like controversial at all if Messi didn't whine about it?
No.
I mean, to me, it wasn't controversial at all. I mean, I could see like the opposing team, like, it's your job to argue stuff like that. Like, I get it, but like, if it wasn't Messi, this wouldn't be a talking point to me.
I agree.
I'm right there with you. It's as someone who already went through, the 5 stages of grief and mourning for the previous play that many Cincinnati fans were like, "Oh, it's a back pass, right?" I feel like everyone needs to go through this to really just get a good handle on what is and isn't a back pass and why that's basically never going to be called ever.
Yeah. So, okay, with that out of the way, I think we covered that. We then come out of the blocks second half, and we're like all over them. We should have had 2 goals. We didn't get 2 goals. We eventually do get one where the ball shot right at Ustari, goes right through his legs. It was hit hard, and there was a leg thrown at it, but I think the goalkeeper's got to be saving that. And at 2-0, you're away to Miami. You never know. They could just randomly get a burst of momentum from nowhere. But no, the team did really well to just kind of close out the match. Miami had a good spell of like 10, 15 minutes where they were like all on the ball the whole time and we couldn't get out. But eventually we started getting our foot on the ball and passing it around, and Miami couldn't get it. And yeah, I was really impressed overall with the performance from the team. I do think, though, this was a first goal wins it, and we just took advantage of the entire Miami team switching off. And yeah, it's a play that we try a lot. A long kick from Galese with a player running behind. We do it with Duncan. We do it with Angulo. We do it almost every game. So I'm surprised they switched off, because that should be, from the coaches, that should be something that they say, hey, every single goal kick, they're going to be looking for that ball over the top. It's something that they try consistently. So really poor moment from Miami as a whole.
Yeah, you've hit a lot on Orlando, Gavin, so I'll just briefly speak to a little bit of Miami side of things. I think what stands out to me, I think Jordi Alba was announced as being extended for next season. And I think out of all the players who are not Messi, who were part of the Messi and Friends group, Jordi Alba's the one that I think I'm fine with them extending and keeping. I think Suarez, it's probably about time for him. He's your best striker on the team somehow, sure, but I think that's probably more of an issue of you need to go find other good strikers. Like Suarez is not going to be able to do it for a full season, probably this year or going forward, right? And Busquets is like, I think people are slowly figuring him out, and he's like hitting the downfall side of the career. So Alba, I'm fine with because you can play him on the left in like a wing back or even like as a left midfielder position. And he still is fine with crossing balls in, and he combines really well with Messi, who is going to, continue to be Messi because he doesn't have to run much off the ball. So I was fine with that. I'm curious what they're going to do with those other players, but personally, I hope that they are not resigned. I don't think that serves Miami as a team well going forward.
I guess I'll be the guy that disagrees with almost everything you said. Well, yeah, in some ways. I think that re-signing Jordi Alba was a stupid move. Last week they gave up 4 goals, or was it Wednesday? Anyway, I can't remember. But the first 2 goals are Jordi Alba's fault, like directly, like he just like totally switches off. Like the second goal,
Don't disagree.
yeah, like just completely. And then for what you're paying him, if you're now, so he's either going to not play defense as a left back or he's going to go up and play left wing. Man, for what you're paying him, you can get a lot more out of different guys. Like you can, for what you're paying him, you can bring in some really top tier quality guys for that. So I think that's a poor move. Busquets, the guy's never been fleet of foot, but it's really catching up to him. Like it's really showing in this league. There are massive gaps in this midfield because he just can't cover ground. And MLS is a quick, fast, physical league. You ask guys that come to the league, and they're just like, yeah, man, this league is quicker than I thought it was going to be. It's better than I thought it was going to be. Luis Suarez, you were saying, you were like, I don't think he can get it done for a full season. I don't think he can get it done. Period. I think Luis Suarez is a below average MLS forward at this point right now. Like he's not scoring goals. His touches in the box are off. His movement's wrong. I mean, just so much is wrong. We kind of talked last night. I think that Miami proves the importance of MLS veterans. You look at like so many people on this team, like Falcone, they're all Falcone, Allende. They're always bringing in these new guys, but it's like every single year, like Gabriel Peck had an incredible year last year, right, with LA Galaxy, and it was amazing. Like he runaway newcomer of the year, right, and it was amazing because it was his first year in the league, and it was so atypical. People do not hit the ground running like that, and in MLS, it almost always takes a year to hit the ground running, and so even then, sometimes it takes guys like a couple years. I can't remember. There were a few names that I was looking at, and it was like it took them like the 3rd season to really click and turn on.
This is Ojeda's 3rd season for Orlando City.
There you go.
And he's kind of been...
And it wasn't... Yeah, and honestly, and it wasn't just like, 1 or 2. It was like I actually had a list of names that somehow accidentally got deleted. But it was all these guys. It takes time to adjust and hit in this league. And Miami doesn't seem to get that. And then the importance of, like, actually watching the LA Galaxy LAFC game, Taylor Twellman had a quote that, like, it resonated. I immediately thought of Inter Miami. They said that they were talking to Carlos Vela, like right after they won the championship in like 2020, like whatever. And Carlos Vela was talking about Ryan Hollinshead. And he's basically said this is kind of the gist, but it was when we were good, we needed guys who could come in and who knew their role and what was expected of them. That's what took us from a good team to a championship team. And that is not what Miami has. Miami has a bunch of guys that it's like, hey, let's just go hang out with Messi. I mean, there are reports coming out that like a lot of the young guys are struggling. Javier Mascherano is not working with them in training. He's hanging out with Messi, Suarez, and Busquets and playing games afterwards and chatting with them and not coaching. Like this is 100% like Messi and his guys are running this team, and that doesn't work in a league with that this restricted. If this was Spain or something like that, I could see it working, right? But with all the different roster mechanics and mechanisms that you need to be a successful team in this league, it's not going to work. And it's actually, maybe it's just me, I enjoy seeing it, right? I enjoy seeing some guy who comes outside and kind of in a way thinks he's bigger and better than all this, and he can just do it, and we're going to win because it's me, and everything's going to be great, and then it's not working. I enjoy that, but I also, I'm the guy that stares at car crashes whenever we go by. I'm one of those guys. So
Well, as long as you're not the person who's also driving as you go by, you can stare at the car crash all you want, Beau. I also think I'm pretty sure from listening to you, the only thing that you and I actually disagree on is, whether or not Jordi Alba should have been resigned, because we both think that Suarez and Busquets don't have a place on Miami, and we both think that they need better players in basically all their other positions behind those guys. So I think we're on the same
yeah,
page more
no,
than you
we
were
are.
saying.
I guess I disagreed with the Suarez take about. I don't think he can do it at all anymore. I think he's done.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
disagree with that either.
but I think
The
you were
signs were
just
there end of last
you were
year.
just being nice about it. Yeah.
So yeah, I think with the Busquets one, all I want to say there is they have Busquets in Redondo. Like they have for me they have a very similar profile in as from a player perspective, but in Busquets and Redondo, so it feels counterintuitive to have both. So I think Busquets can go. You go with the younger guy. And then Jordi Alba, I'm fine with him going. I've seen a lot of mistakes this season from him. Suarez, agree. Messi, you're probably going to want to keep him because of marketing. And then
Messi's not going to let his guys go. Like he's
again, that's why I think you have to keep at least one of them. And out of the three, Jordi Alba's the one that's still the most serviceable. So
Beau,
I'm really keep him.
Beau, I'm really glad you brought up Mascherano because I was thinking this yesterday too. Like Miami, I think Miami have kind of fumbled this quartet of players by bringing in Mascherano. I think not enough is said about bringing in this inexperienced coach who's a friend of Messi to coach this team, and I think we're starting to see the negative impacts of that decision. Yeah, they started fast, they got momentum, but now the defense looks horrible, and offensively, I mean, I know this was their first game in forever where they put up 0 at home, but like they didn't look very threatening in this match. And it all comes down to the coach. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. And I think that Mascherano, like, we haven't talked about it at all this season, but like, he should be someone who is on the hot seat. And we know he's not going to be because of being Messi's best friend, but like, he should be. And really, if the league really were, or if Miami really wanted to be serious, they would go out and get a serious coach and go and try and win the league when they have these 4 insanely high quality players.
But here's the thing: are they insane quality still? Like they were, but it's like Busquets can't cover ground. And the other note I had, and I think this is good. So Miami is such a good technical quality team. Like they are. Their technical qualities are off the charts. But now when I'm looking at every single person they play is bigger, faster, and stronger. The technicality just isn't winning out anymore. They don't, and so that's just by the way, the other name I had, Ricky Pooch. It took him two to 2.5 years before he finally broke out and became another guy. So yeah, I did have one name, but yeah, no, I'm with you, Mascherano. They should be challenging for the Shield. Like they should be like we should be getting blown away with these guys. But again, Father Time's undefeated.
Sure is.
Time was going to catch up with them at some point, and maybe this is it. I don't know. What about? And I don't know. Maybe they have tried this, but does Busquets at center back work? Getting him out of midfield?
No, it
I
doesn't.
mean, can
it
he
didn't
be
work
worse
last year. Yes.
Okay, it can't. Okay,
Yes, he can be.
Okay.
Yes, it can. It can get worse. Now,
Okay,
maybe
it doesn't seem like it at this point.
Maybe if your argument is that, well, if we're going to play Jordi Alba up the field and you get Busquets into a center back spot, that means now you've got overlapping left back that can cover for him. But I'll tell you right now that's not going to work there either.
Like they're not even playing the best goalkeeper on the team because of Messi. It's Messi's friend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is it. I know that it's better
something.
for the success of the league if Miami is good, right? But to have someone come in and just be like, I'm going to get all my buddies together, we're going to do this, and we're going to win it all, and to just see them fall flat on their face is just so extremely satisfying for me.
It is. And I'm going to go ahead and say that this segment, we're going to, I'm going to say I'm pulling it flat on its face, because otherwise we will talk for an entire episode about just Messi and friends, and we will, live vicariously through each other, and others will live vicariously through us through the Schadenfreude on this one. So
I
Last
mean,
can we
words.
move
to
us
be
on?
fair, we
Last-
could just not talk about like New England and San Jose since they all did nothing during the game.
We will spend plenty of time not talking about certain teams as
Okay.
well, but there are also some great games that we will talk about considerably more. So it will. And hey, you know what? Let's compromise. If we get to the end of the episode and we're sub 2 hours, we'll come back to the topic.
Last thing I want to say though is Joran Gervais has been fantastic this season for Orlando City. Keep an eye on him. We can move on.
Dude,
Okay.
Alex Freeman, I just want to say, holy smokes.
Elite.
Like,
Yep. Not staying in MLS for long.
no. And the literal last thing I wanted to say about this game was a note. So very end of the game, Ramiro Enrique hits the post. Alex Freeman gets the rebound on the edge of the box. There are 4 Miami defenders standing in front of Alex Freeman, blocking the like waiting for him to block the shot. Right. There are 3 unmarked Orlando City players all along the back post, and not a single Miami defender turns around to look. They're all ball watching, and that just kind of, to me, that just perfectly sums up how the defense for this team. Outside of Noah Allen, it is just a bunch of dudes who watch the ball and react. That is all.
Fair enough. Well, hey, Beau, react to this. We're going from Gavin's game. We're going to your game, which was it was a home match for DC United. And I'm sorry that I've got to take you from the joy of talking about Miami's failings to instead talking about the Dallas's failings instead.
Hey, we are not DC United. Do not put that on us.
DC United has their own failings as well. We'll get to that. But yes. It's FC Dallas's failings. You did unfortunately capitulate in the Copa Tejas to Houston Dynamo of all teams, bitter rivals. Jack McGlynn gets on the score sheet though, so I know, Beau, that you were fine with the outcome of the match once you saw McGlynn score.
I definitely I think it's one of the things people kind of really don't realize, that the hatred between Houston and Dallas really is strong. Like, it's not I don't think that's a thing that really comes through. Like there were fights in the stands, like multiple, these really are just 2 cities that we just don't like each other. So, I mean, obviously Jack McGlynn bridges the gap, right? He is the promised one that was foretold of old to come and bridge the gap between the 2 cities. No, it was FC Dallas actually did pretty well, kind of dominated the first half. Nothing really came of it. In the second half, obviously Jack McGlynn, if you haven't seen it, scores for him 30 yards out, like just gets the ball out on the right side and is like, yeah, I can do this. And just quick change of pace, left foot, like just Collodi never had a chance. Martin Paz was out for this game. Collodi actually did pretty well. The second goal, Shaq Moore is trying to recover back and gets tangled up with Griffin Dorsey and falls, which creates a 3v2 for Houston. And then Dorsey shoots it, bounces right back to him, and then just slots it far post. This is the first time Houston has won in Dallas since 2011. It has been 14 years since they came in and got 3 points. I was actually at that game. Jeff Cameron got the only goal of that game. That was a very
Cincinnati legend.
Yes,
Jeff Cameron.
But yeah, that was the game. Just 2 individual moments of brilliance. It's not much to be said. Dallas just, we had opportunity. Actually, our best opportunity was Anderson Julio shooting from the halfway mark, really, and then it was going in, Jonathan Bond, just makes this an incredible running backward save. But yeah, Dallas just, again, it's a bunch of dudes. I talked with Ben Olsen before the game and was like, hey, what do you kind of do with, how do you plan against a team that all they want to do is counter the ball and just be faster than you. Like, how do you, like, there's no real build out or plan of attack. He told me that there is one. He said there is more of a plan than you think it is. However, apparently that plan is also lost on the players, because some of the FC Dallas players I have talked to are also unaware of this strategy. So, yes, that is that. I mean, it's not. It was fun to watch, because this is kind of literally like, this is a perfect antithesis matchup. Houston wants the ball. Like, they want the ball. We're going to have the ball. You're not going to have it. And Dallas wants you to have the ball. It's that you're going to have the ball, and then we're going to quick counter on you. So I really enjoyed that. And Houston had just played a similar team midweek in Minnesota on Wednesday and destroyed them too. So yeah, fun game. Definitely not the result I wanted at all, but yeah, that was that.
I am going to just side note, I'm going to text you a picture that I just took of a shot that made me smile quite a bit looking at the shot map. That said, I did also go and look up McGlynn's goal, and yes, this was a goal that is rated as a 1 in 100 type goal in terms of expected outcomes. So yes, Golazo by McGlynn.
Except not for McGlynn. He does this with a much higher regularity. It's like he shoots from afar a good bit, but he also makes a lot of them. Like, if you saw the kind of similar to like the Phoenix Rising goal that he had in the U.S. Open Cup that got them through. It's just like, this is kind of what he does. He shoots from afar with alarming accuracy and power.
Well, there you go. He did it again. Any other notes you want to? Any other? Oh my gosh, Kat! I know you want to be on the podcast too, buddy. I get it, but here's the thing. Listen, I don't think you watched Dallas versus Houston, so you can't give input right now.
I mean, I just want to say, this is why you go out and you spend money on those guys. These are the kind of players that are difference makers and literally win you games.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, Dallas's difference maker that they went and spent money on. I sent a picture of the shot map. It's the furthest that I've ever seen them place a dot, because it was technically a shot on target. And so they placed the dot in comparison, or, in like a general relation of where it was compared to the goal. And they basically made the goal like 2 pixels on your screen, and because the shot was basically as far away as the bounds of the field would have let it be, which is unusual for Acosta. I have to assume he just shanked it or something, but I laughed seeing it.
The really far shot, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. The one that,
Oh.
super far away.
Man, I thought the super far away one was Anderson Julio. I could be wrong.
No, the one
no.
You're talking
The
about the
one
one
at-
at half field.
That's Anderson Julio. Yeah. No.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm talking, if you look where it says XG and then XG on target, they put the dot, and there's like a little goal that they're like, here's where the goal was, here's where the shot was, and that goal is very small, and that dot is very large in comparison.
I do see that.
Yeah, which is to say, it wasn't even close. Made me smile, because I don't normally see them that far away.
Yeah, one thing, actually looking at some of the American Soccer Analysis goal plus ratings, Logan Farrington was the best player of the game, and he came in at halftime for Petar Musa. No word if he went out injured or just wasn't fit or something like that, but Dallas actually did a pretty decent job of trying to shut down McGlynn and not really give him passing lanes and chances, because that was the one thing I noticed, was that the Dallas was shuttling the ball pretty consistently off to the left side, because McGlynn plays on the right, so he can cut in on his left foot. But again, man, when you get those good special players who are good enough where they just need one chance, and they took it. So unfortunately, just wasn't Dallas's night. Like, Lucho had his chances and didn't take them either. So sometimes you're the bat, sometimes you're the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the Houston side of things, I'm just going to quickly say that I thought Kowalczyk up top played pretty decent for Houston. Obviously, Dorsey and McGlynn get the goals, and they played well as well. But I don't know, it was just different having him up top versus Ponce, and I kind of liked it.
Well,
I did
either
too.
way,
It was much less frustrating to watch without Ponce on the field.
I'm glad that we're all coming around on the Ponce is not it for Houston train. I am, however, looking at the time, right? We've been going for literally like 30 minutes at this point. So I'm moving us on. Sorry if that's an issue for you guys, but I am moving us on. We got to cover the last of our matches, at least for the three of us, which was Columbus Crew FC Cincinnati, Columbus hosting FC Cincinnati in the rivalry match. And gotta say, if you told me 6 minutes in that Cincinnati was going to be taking the lead, I would have been like, we're winning this match. By the time that we got to the end of the match, I was like, holy smokes, how did we not lose this match? Because we basically scored, and then we got to the 35 minutes in, and it was just entirely Columbus from there on. I mean, just incredible. The halftime changes alone were, forget about it. There was no way Cincinnati had anything happening after halftime. Nancy got it right. Noonan made odd choices, that's for sure. So, but a draw for Cincinnati. So there you go. That's good.
In Columbus, no less.
In Columbus, no less.
You'll take that, man.
They desperately need a striker. Like,
which was
Columbus. They like look. It's great, right? That you feel that you can have Jason Russell Rowe or the next man up type of thing. Amazing, wonderful. I love it. So happy for you. But, or in this case, I guess it's Aliu who started and then Russell Rowe went in. But either way, right? If Cucho or a Cucho replacement type player was in that game and in that position, Crew probably are sitting on like 4 or 5 goals from this match. Celentano stood on his head, made some great saves. A better striker does not let Celentano make those saves. Just a fact.
So he walks up, insults his mother, makes him cry, puts her right in the back of the net.
Yeah,
easy peasy.
Honestly, like
I was
no, that's all I got.
The decision to not start Russell Rowe. What was your guys' thoughts on that? Because for me,
that surprised me.
He's been their starting striker all season, just about. He's played well all season. He's got some goals, some big goals. And in your biggest game, you're making a change like that. It just felt a little weird at this moment to be making that change from Nancy.
I gotta wonder if it was a fitness driven thing, because Nancy chose to rotate pretty heavily against Montreal, which is a different talking point, right? Because Cincinnati and Columbus both had midweek matches. Columbus chose to rotate pretty heavily, got a draw at Montreal, goes home and gets a draw against Cincinnati, who did not rotate nearly as much, won midweek against Toronto, and then goes and picks up a point away on the road. So I think it is a whole different talking point to me of like, did the man management in Montreal, right, for fitness and all that really play a difference? Because end result, you didn't get the win at home.
Yeah, but I mean, didn't Russell Rowe, if I recall correctly, didn't he have like a header right in the middle of the box that he missed it off to the left? So, I mean, the guy, maybe it was well founded because he had a good chance late in the game and just shanked it. One thing I thought it was kind of interesting. So, the Evander's bicycle pass for the goal to Denke was just, that was like, I could watch that on replay for a solid hour. That was just so much fun. But
it was supposed to be a shot, by the way.
Well, yeah, it's Evander. Of course it's supposed to be a shot. But one thing I found really interesting, the commentator said during the game, Wilfred Nancy said that Sean Zawatsky is the first name on his team sheet every game, and that he should be involved in the Gold Cup. Okay, but is that kind of interesting that he views Zawatsky like not Nagby, not no, and I also wonder like, is maybe that true? Is he maybe just saying that to kind of stir controversy so we will actually talk about him? Like maybe this is exactly what he he's wanting to do. He's like, those MLS now guys will talk about you in the podcast. That was my best French accent. I'm sorry.
Honestly, not bad.
Thank you. It was not bad. I didn't practice ahead of time, so
if you put that in like a short form content on like social media, right? I think there would definitely be some people who think that you are just a French person who lives in Texas.
That's a yeah.
I've for what it's worth,
no reply to that.
I've heard that if you were a French person who lived in Texas, you would describe it as a Quentin Tarantino fever dream.
Oh, I really don't like that man or his movies. His movies drive me crazy, man. I'm sorry.
That said,
So then being compared to him,
Zwatsky played
it's fine.
well.
Yeah, so yeah, I just
I'm
thought that was
taking this back.
interesting that like I'm like, man, like you know that you have like Darlington Nagme, Steven Moreira, and Diego Rossi on your team, right? Like are those maybe he
Center
meant
backs are
like
so
maybe he meant
important, though.
heavily rotated squad. Zawatsky's the first name on this team sheet.
Here's
If you
my
disagree
question
with
to
me,
you.
listener, email us now.
Here's the other question: like, who's he replacing Zawatsky with? Diego Rossi. You
Is
can
it
be like, well,
Jimbo?
I could rotate Gazdag for Rossi, or I could put Aliu or Russell Rowe up there, right? And you could be like, well, I have other players that could play in these positions. But you look at the middle of a back three, and you're like, Zawatsky, gotta put him.
I thought Moreira was middle. No, he's outright.
Yeah, he's basically the right winger, right center back winger.
Yeah, very weird combo. That's a great question. I'm gonna get you an
Well,
answer, Russell.
you don't have to give me an answer right now. You can give me an answer next week.
Next time on
The MLS Now podcast. Gavin, I feel like we boxed you out a little bit. You got anything else that you want to bring in on this conversation? Look, overall, I don't think there's too much else to talk about. It's a good draw, right? But that's if you're an FC Cincinnati fan. If you're a Columbus fan, you feel like you were missing out on 3 points.
Yeah, I think that summarizes the game well. Just two really good teams going at it, which we're seeing a lot of right now in MLS, which is fun. Which is fun to see from a neutral perspective.
Sure is.
Camacho. That's the name I was missing. Camacho.
Rudy Camacho.
I was like, I can't think of his name, but he's out till June. So
there you go. So he's not going to be a first name on your team sheet at all.
he could be. It's just going to be really awkward.
Right. Yes, Rudy Camacho's on my. Oh shoot, he's injured
again. Oh crap!
Why does this keep happening? I really need to put like a sticky note, on like my computer or something. Yeah. Well, either way. All right, guys, we've talked about our 3 matches, right? We've gone down the rabbit hole, but we do need to talk about 11 other matches. So we're going to start with an easy one, guys. It was a good old-fashioned Canadian clash. It was the beatdown that Toronto gave away at CF Montreal. I don't think this match really had much meaning in the sense of like, oh, Waterman gets a red card, straight red in the 21st minute, and Toronto were already up a goal at that point. Like before the goal, I was looking at it and being like, Montreal might get a draw at 1-1. Second that red came, you're like, yeah, that's it. Toronto are they're gone. They're going to be out of sight. And they were 6-1.
To be fair, I didn't see 6-1 coming by any means. Like, I didn't see 6 goals, but I thought we would see like a 3, maybe 3 from Toronto. But they just...
Are you more shocked that they lost 6-1 or that they even scored a goal?
That they even scored a goal, to be honest.
Same. Okay.
Yeah. I am shocked by the 6, though, as well. Like,
it is alarmingly high for Toronto.
It is that, but also like usually when you go down to 10 men, like the job is clear. You're not really attacking all that much. You're not chasing the game. You're really picking and choosing your moments to go forward. And other than that, you should be sitting deep and just like side to side, blocking out. And Montreal just left a bunch of space in behind and were chasing the game to try and make it 1-1. And then it went 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, like really quickly. And just...
It's a rivalry match.
Well, it is a rivalry match, but you also have to play the match like you have like you would any other match. It's just it was a poor approach when down a man, I think, and that's what led to the 6-1, which is an embarrassment.
This is the problem. You said the job is clear, which in summation we could say play defense, which they have been unable to do all season long at any point. Take away one of those defenders, and by golly, you get yourself a good old Canadian whooping.
Yeah, but it looks like they didn't even practice down to 10 men ever. I don't know. I just feel like because when you play, you literally like, okay, we're down to 10 men. Like you're being more conservative than you usually are. Okay, I get not trying to play defense when you're also 11v11 and you're trying to get a goal. When it's 10v11, okay, number one objective, play defense, and they didn't even do that. So Unacceptable
My
result
thing,
at home.
listen, I had one really important note from this match, and this was it. The very last goal of the game, there's a 1v1 on the keeper. For some reason, the producer decides now's a good time. Let's cut away and show how much extra time is on the video board. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, we hear cheering and then see the ball in the back of the net. So I know
Pretty
it's interns.
poor.
I know it's intern season, but it seems like it might be a little early to have an intern running a broadcast, even though it is a Montreal game, and that's the only way you can really get people to work those games. I'm sure there's someone out there who's somewhat competent at this job who could do it. Other thing I
I
have, it's actually kind of interesting watching Dante Seeley actually try. You know, like when he was with FC Dallas, like he and Gio Reyna were the two in their class coming up. Like it was like, man, these guys are great. And then, but Dante Seeley, it was just like every time he played soccer, it was like, could you imagine if this guy actually tried and wasn't just like 80%? And he's actually trying a little bit now. So I wonder if he realizes, like, if someone told him, like, dude, this is last chance saloon for you. Like, you need to make it work. Because, like, if you get shipped off to the island of misfit toys in Montreal, like, this is truly your last chance.
only other thing, Beau, is I had a thought. You know how they have like AI driven camera work for MLS Next Pro, where it's like they're experimenting with, oh, we have, a computer controlling the camera, and that's why sometimes it doesn't like get the best angles or why it's like kind of zoomed out. I wonder if like they had something where it was like keyed to like, switch between camera angles based on what people are talking about, and they were talking about stoppage time. And so the camera or the feed or whatever is like, oh, talking about stoppage time, let's queue up a stoppage time item.
Or maybe it was just Montreal and they were like, well, yeah, MLS Next Pro, Montreal. So they had it installed. I mean, problem
I mean,
solved.
yeah.
Good detective work, Russell.
Look, I don't know that that's actually factual in nature. I'm just, it's the only thing that makes sense for me of like, why would you have that poor of a directing decision in this particular instance?
I
So,
say intern season, but I could see someone also getting confused and going, this is MLS Next Pro like level soccer. So this gets MLS Next Pro level production.
uh, you're not entirely wrong. So, anyways, we're moving on because I no longer want to talk about Montreal. Instead, let's talk about the Hudson River Derby. Gavin, I'm going to throw it over to you right away, and we may even have some correspondent corners from the group chat on this one. NYCFC getting a 2-0 win over their arch enemies or bitter rivals, New York Red Bulls. Coach Joe likes to call them the New Jersey Red Bulls. I know Coach Joe had something to say in the group chat as well. So, Gavin, you want to kick us off with that and then add in your thoughts?
He said, New York is blue. That's my input. There
There
it
you
is.
go.
A man of few words, Coach Joe.
Yeah. I'm going to be a man of few words too. Alonso Martinez or bust. I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face like New York is. Uh, Alonso Martinez or bust. It feels like when Alonso Martinez puts the ball in the back of the net, New York City FC are going to win the game. And when he doesn't, they're going to lose the game or they're going to tie the game. In this game, he gets a goal and an assist. And so NYCFC run away 2-0 winners. Like, I
It
know it's
must
terrible analysis, but like that is literally what happens every single time.
the best part of this though was that the first goal of the game, like Alonso Martinez, like the first goal was beautiful. It was while they were showing a graphic that he hadn't scored since April 26th that he shoots and scores.
That is pretty
Like
impressive. Yeah.
that is peak MLS. Like I just loved it. I loved it so much.
I feel like there's just been
And
a
then
regret.
apparently Carlos Coronel also wants New York to be blue.
Apparently, yes. I feel like there's been a regression from Wolf. I feel like there's been a regression from Fernandez, a regression from Ojeda. Like all of these other young attackers around Martinez have just kind of slowly regressed and kind of they're not doing much. And then it's just like Martinez, please save us. Please do something to get a goal. And every game he gets a chance, and whether he puts it away or not is dependent on the out or is the uh, depending factor on the outcome of the game for NYCFC.
I'm curious, is it that they have regressed or have they just never developed? Because I mean,
That
Wolf had some great form last season, and he's just not even been close to that. I don't know if he's struggling with injury, like he could be, carrying a knock or something, but playing through it. But last season he had pretty decent form, and I feel like he just hasn't replicated that at all this season.
But that's all of their
The others I'll
players.
agree with though. I think maybe they weren't ever up to it.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I liked what Julian Fernandez had, Martin O'Haire, I kind of get, but it's just like none of them are taking a step forward. It's just like, and that's kind of what this club is good at. It's they're good at not developing players. I mean, Talus Magno was like heralded as like one of the like most can't miss prospects, and like they were struggling to find someone to even take him on loan. I mean, and yeah, you could say was Santi, like yeah, he developed, but like he wasn't worth what people paid for him. It was just that they're these South American teams are paying top dollar to get home country guys back in their own country. But yeah, I just there has been zero progression on these guys, and it's indicative. And you would think that was someone who's with the city football group. I mean, they also went out and bought Jovan, is it Matovic, Matejevic, whatever, but like he had to get
Mijatovic,
sent.
I think.
Yeah, I was like,
Something like
they
that.
had to go send him out on loan. Like, this is a club that with their resources and stuff, they should be able to scout well and develop players, and they have consistently pooped the bed in this.
You know what's funny is they paid 6-7 million for that guy, who you just named, and I remember I watched his YouTube comp video and I was like, he's not going to do well in this league. He doesn't look good at all. Like it looked like a terrible piece of business, and yeah, it's come to fruition thus far.
yeah, I just want to note, like, this is such a weird, like, you think of New York Red Bulls as being like a big counter team, right? Energy drink soccer. I wonder if they didn't look good because they had like 2/3 possession, and they can't, like. When have you ever seen Red Bulls be a possession team and look good?
That's a good call out. I think you're right.
Granted, I mean they have the quality players, right? Like you have Emil Forsberg, like you should manage more than what they did. But
What's interesting, and I guess it's we need to record the thing, was that the Eastern Conference kind of thing, but like some of their underlying numbers are actually better than they were last year,
just scary because they are,
isn't it?
and
Yeah,
yeah,
because they're
they're
not
not a good
exactly lighting
team.
the world. But I mean, they've been doing this without Lewis Morgan, who is, you know, still injured. There was rumor he may be back healthy, um, but getting him back is going to be a nice, shot in the arm because right now. And again, I really loved John Tolkien. I was a John Tolkien fanboy. And I think losing him, I think he was way more involved in the attack than people really give him credit for, and they just didn't replace it.
That's fair. Gavin, I'll give it back to you for final thoughts since you're who I started with, but I am gonna keep moving us on as well, just to stay consistent if you don't have anything.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else. So we can keep moving.
All right. Well, we have luckily our undercover Philadelphia Union fan. I've got a picture of Beau wearing a Philadelphia Union hat. So, Beau, I'm going to start with you on this one. It was Atlanta United hosting Philadelphia Union. Uh, in true Atlanta United fashion, they lose yet again, and Philadelphia takes a 1-0 win away on the road. Ty Baribo getting, what is it now, his 11th goal of the season. And granted, this one's a penalty kick, right? But 11 goals. Holy moly. I mean, that's just insane for Baribo to be that far. I'm pretty sure he's still leading the Golden Boot race right now.
Yeah, I think he might be the only one in double digits. But I
Wouldn't
think everyone
surprise me,
else has like
honestly.
9, I think. I'll go check, but I think that's right.
Yeah. Well,
Yes, breaking news: Ty Baribo is good at soccer.
yeah, there's been a few people this week who have looked good at soccer. I'll tell you who doesn't look good at soccer, or at least doesn't look good at coaching the current style of soccer he's trying to coach, which is Ronnie Dyla. I still am so curious as to how much leash is left for him, right? I mean, it's been a hot topic this week. Coaches like Olaf Melberg is under fire. His seat's getting increasingly warmer by the week. I have a suspicion that if they lose US Open Cup, he's probably not looking to have a job within the next 7 to 14 days. You have Mascherano, whose seat is icy cold, but really ought to be blazing hot, all things considered. Ronnie Dyla should be on the hot seat as well. Quite a number of coaches out west, I think probably could be at least in the conversation for hot seat, except Greg Vanney, who was rewarded with his historic performance with a contract extension. Problem being that his historic performance is to be the worst starting MLS team ever, but that warranted the contract extension apparently.
We'll
What do
talk
I, what do
about
I know?
that.
I'm
We'll talk
yeah
about that when we get to LA Galaxy.
yeah. We'll talk about that. I think it's less scandalous than people want to say, but the timing is incredible. They couldn't have picked a worse time. Anyways, back to Philadelphia Union, Atlanta United. Beau, please give me hope, any hope at all, that Atlanta United are not complete frauds and that this season's going to be a wash and they're going to be like a bottom 4 team in the East. All right. That response tells me everything I need
Crickets.
to know. Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know what I'm supposed to give me hope. And I'm like, you can save a bunch of money on your car insurance by switching to Geico. I have, which actually not at all true, ironically.
I do
So
have Geico.
that's
I
yeah,
did save a bunch of money.
I saved a bunch
Not
of money
sponsored by
moving away
Geico.
from them. I saved a bunch of money moving away from them, and literally when I told them the price, they went, "Yeah, I would move too." Yeah.
I
Anyway,
love that. Love that candidness.
I do too. I did appreciate it. It's they're not okay. Atlanta actually had 75 passes into the final third, and they like they had 75 passes in the final third and they had 43 passes into the final third, so they were pretty consistently getting the ball into there. But again, these numbers are going to be skewed because Philadelphia is okay if you have the ball. Like they're not a team that really wants it, so these are always kind of going to be skewed. But and then even then Atlanta, it's
Even then, what'd they do with it?
none of their pass. So they're hardly at all passing the ball up through the middle. Like only whenever they're getting to the final third, like their passes, almost all the passes are on the right or left. Like there's no real passes into the middle. And then again, a ton of the passes into the box, almost half of them come from the left hand side. So Atlanta's very, very predictable. I don't know what I mean. Even looking at the momentum of play and stuff, Philadelphia Union dominated momentum of play, which is not something that should be said about a
Team that's
counter
out of possession.
pressing, a non-possession counter pressing team. Like this is just, I don't know, man. It's weird.
It's
Like
weird.
I don't know what to say. I honestly at this point, and I just am. Ronnie Dyla's clearly not the guy. Either he's not the guy and the players aren't listening, or the players don't fit his style, or something's not working. I really wish we had Bryce here on this. Like, I really do, because I would really like his take, because he's obviously watching them and getting and knows a lot more about the players and stuff that he can go into much more in depth on stuff like this. So he is sorely missed. But I mean, literally, if you look at their pass map, it is a literal horseshoe of death. Which, if you don't know what the horseshoe of death is, it's that like all their passes, it creates this horseshoe where the ball is passed from right back to right center back to left center back to left back, and then what do? They pass it back to the left center back and back to the right center back and up to the right back, and it just makes this horseshoe. That is where almost that is their passing. Like almost all of their passes go through the horseshoe of death, like that, and it's just I don't know.
So the interesting thing, right, is Ronnie Dyla, I don't recall him having a back three system with NYCFC when he won the cup with them. I want to say he had a very typical 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 or something like that. And so it makes me wonder, like, why is he going this way? When I see coaches go to back three, it's usually because defensively they want to have that security that they don't feel they have if they have a back two, which I think we all highlighted at the preseason is that defense was going to be the concern for them. And I wonder if Ronnie Dyla is overcompensating for the lack of quality defenders. Stian Gregerson has been a complete failure of a signing because he could never stay fit for Atlanta United. And everyone else is just kind of, they're not high enough quality to be really starting caliber center backs in this league. They should be backups, but they just haven't focused on that area of their team. And so I think some of it is like Dyla is trying to strike that balance, and he's not striking that balance enough. And now I feel like he should just switch it and go all out attack, because that's where he has the resources, and you just try to win every game 4-3 or something like that. Unfortunately, though,
weren't they trying that earlier this year, and it was just their all-out attack was Brooks Lennon crossing the ball?
I mean, yeah, but
Or
they were still back.
defensive?
They were still back 3 in that
Okay.
system too, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think. And now Brooks Lennon he went out with an injury in this match in the 20th minute. So I mean, it just gets worse for Atlanta United. So I mean, they're not finishing their chances when they do get chances. They barely get any clear-cut chances. But when they do, they're not finishing. So it's just like everything is going wrong for this team right now. I don't know if getting rid of the coach is the answer. Maybe it is, but like,
I think it is, and here's why, Gavin. Look at the coach for Philadelphia Union, Bradley Carnell, right? Comes into Philadelphia. People are like, well, he failed at, St. Louis. He had this great historic season, and then, they crashed and burned, and Carnell, was clearly the issue. Look at where St. Louis is right now. They went out, got a coach that still doesn't suit the players. So they started to change players, right? Carnell's system didn't necessarily work for those players. So they said, well, we'll get rid of the coach. And that's fine. But they went and got a coach who still doesn't work for the players that they have. Philadelphia has the players that worked for Carnell. When St. Louis had players that worked for Carnell, they won the West. So, like, you can see a coach fail, right? Or you can see a coach succeed and then fail really hard the next year. Like Ronnie Dyla winning the cup with NYCFC. Clearly, this is just another instance within this trend of, just because you succeeded in one spot in MLS doesn't mean that you're going to go to another team and you're just going to succeed there. There's a lot of factors. Like, these players may not match Ronnie Dyla, but in that case, it's easier to replace one man than it is to replace the 18 that you have signed going onto the match day roster.
Yeah, that's fair.
So,
do you guys think Arthur Blank walks in and is going, I don't care how much it takes. You have a blank check to go get Jim Curtin?
Blank check.
Oh, got it. No, but seriously, like go bring in Jim Curtin. You have a blank check, whatever it costs.
I don't think they're going to do it.
I don't think he's blank check money.
I mean, they set the MLS transfer record with Latte Loth and kind of flexed it. And
no. I mean, I don't think Jim Curtin is worth a blank check.
Oh, I'm not sure either, but I don't know who else you're going to get at this point.
I mean, there's other coaches. Jim
Curtin is pragmatic. Like that's one thing you can say. Like that's one of the things that got him fired was he was like, I don't have the depth or the personnel to go high intensity. Because I mean that was the thing. If you looked at the Union, I know Bradley Carnell is doing great, right, and awesome to him, right. But they brought in Carnell has 4 players playing that were brought in this year that Curtin didn't have. And if you looked at the last 3-4 years and stuff, Curtin was consistently going with Elliott, Gazdag, Bedoya, McGlynn, Carranza, the same names over and over, and he couldn't rotate. He did not have the depth to do it. Okay, and so I think so. He kind of makes do, and he actually changed the system because of it. They went from a high pressing team to a little bit more of a possession based team, which. What's his Nuggets? I can't remember the GM of the Philadelphia Union now. As soon as we move on, I'll forget it. But anyway, that's what got him fired. He was like, no, we want to be high pressing. Ernst Tanner, thank you. Oh my gosh, it was driving me crazy. And he was like, no, we want to be this, and you're not playing it, so you're gone. Okay, makes sense, right? It's your boss. That's the parameter you set. But that's why I think Curtin may actually fit for this. I mean, the other one is who's the old the Portland Timbers?
Gio Savarese.
Gio Savarese, thank you. I've been blanking on all the names tonight.
Got you covered. Don't worry. I'm here. I'm here.
You going with Gio Savarese?
No. I'll tell you who you go with. He also plays the back 3.
Don't say it.
Vanney Sartini.
Oh my gosh, I would love that so much.
I would love that. It would be great.
Could you imagine though, what Miguel Almiron thinks the very first meeting when Vanney Sartini starts going off about fascism or something, and and I guarantee someone's like, what the heck is going on here?
I don't know what you want me to say. It's gonna be great TV. The ratings on Apple TV for Offsides.
I need a Hard Knocks. I was like, I need a Hard Knocks style we need camera crews embedded in Atlanta United when Vanney Sartini takes over.
Yeah, like I think Vanney Sartini would actually probably use the players that they have available, which is the weird thing. But
look, they can't get worse, regardless of who they bring in. Like
I think they literally cannot get worse because I think Montreal has that locked down for the East. Like they can't be worse than Montreal.
You know what? Bryce for Atlanta United head coach. Again, can't get worse. Let's pour one out for our homie Bryce.
Pour one out for Bryce. All right, Gavin, just to make sure we didn't miss any correspondent corners on any of these yet, have we?
No.
Okay. Well, hey, we might have a correspondent corner for the one coming up next. We got Charlotte FC hosting Chicago Fire. We might have had a correspondent corner from Sing Electric. Mr. Tim
Yes.
might have given some input, some jubilant, some jubilant musings.
Yep, here it is. So we got, again, this is Tim for Chicago Fire Perspective. He says the Chicago Fire's unbeaten streak in May continues after a dominant 4-1 victory in Charlotte. That's the first time since 2023 that Charlotte has given up 4 goals, and the first time they've ever allowed that many at home. The performance earned Brian Gutierrez and Andrew Gutman MLS Team of the Matchday honors, and on Monday, Guti and goalkeeper Chris Brady were named to the provisional U.S. men's national team roster for this summer's Gold Cup. The focus now switches to a Tuesday U.S. Open Cup match against the New England Revolution. The match is the third Open Cup match between the two teams, renewing for the first time in almost a decade a once bitter rivalry that included 12 playoff matches between the two and was one of MLS's most bitter rivalries in the 2000s. Greg Berhalter told reporters, "We have aspirations for playing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. If they want to do that next season, the most direct path available is the U.S. Open Cup and through Rhode Island on Tuesday night."
There you go. Tim, always away with words. Hey, here's a really fun stat. I like to always say how teams overperform their XG. Chicago Fire performed almost exactly their XG. The wonderful statistics wizards on the internet had Chicago Fire at 3.99 expected goals, and they scored 4. So I think they got that one.
They're going to come crashing down.
Yeah, they're going to come crashing down to only 3 goals a match and a 4th goal in 99 out of 100 other matches.
They can't sustain it. They got to fall back to the mean.
I mean, look, 4 goals is just like, strictly speaking, that is unsustainable. But like 2 or 3 might be sustainable, which is weird to say. Chicago Fire scoring 2 or 3 goals a match would be considered sustainable right now, because it kind of looks like it could be.
Yeah, Chicago have looked up and down this season, but I think their attack has looked pretty promising throughout the entire season. They've been scoring goals. It's really just been midfield and defense kind of where they've been at. But I think on offense, they've created a lot of chances. They've scored a lot of goals.
Yeah.
Good to get a win here at home. I want to focus a little bit on Charlotte, though, who are in absolute free fall. 5 losses in a row for Charlotte. It's been a terrible run of form. Home against New England, away against Columbus, away against Nashville, away against Orlando, home against Chicago. What's happened, guys? They started the season so well.
It was unsustainable, Gavin. I tell you, they came crashing down. They regressed to the mean. Oh, am I doing it right?
Sure.
Am I making you proud?
You are. That was good.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, there's something. I don't have any insider info on this one, right? Like, this is not something I've talked, but I think that there are cracks forming in the locker room that are starting to spill out into the field. I don't know if you saw late in the game, Zaha is out on the wing, right? Like, and then Diani gets the ball, goes to play him into space, and Zaha was just standing there instead of running into space. And so Diani's like, "Dude, like, go," and Zaha just starts screaming at him, "No, I'm here." But Diani's like, "No, like, dude, like, we're losing. Like, we need to score. You had space there. You got to take it." And it's just like, this is kind of what, like, I like Wilfred Zaha, like the player, right? But he's kind of a diva, like, a little bit. Like, this is kind of what you get. Like, he's a bit of a prima donna. And so I think you're starting to see that. And I don't know what that does. I don't know. I literally, I don't know, what being around someone like that in a workplace day in, day out, I mean, does to a team, if what it does, kind of to a locker room or to a team morale. Because, and I think what you're seeing is you're seeing the inverse with Chicago, right? Chicago, this is a team that sucked for over a decade. They're now finally starting to get into the, no, dude, we can win games. Like, look at us. Like you have this culture of suck. And literally, like, Berhalter is like, no, like, he's instilling, guys, you're capable of more. And they're starting to believe it. Like, it takes time to turn a culture around. And I think you're starting to see Charlotte go the opposite way of that. We're this, that. And then all of a sudden, because there's all sorts of stuff going, like, Ream passes it to Malanda and it's intercepted. There's just these boneheaded plays. Like, I had it written down, like, their defensive rotations are, they're too easy to play through. They're bad defensive rotations. There's no real motivation. And I honestly think, and I kind of wonder how much of their success early on was just, was Liel, was it Abada? No.
Pep Biel, he was going
Pep
crazy.
Biel. Thank you. I was like, it is not Liel Abada. Pep Biel just deciding, like, I'm going to win MVP this year. Just being insane. And so
that was a lot of it, I think. And then he got injured, and that's really when this poor form started. You know what else doesn't help? Colina having the ball shot straight at him and it ending up in a goal.
I don't know if you saw, though, it was deflected. The ball was going to Colina's left and veered right. So he planted, goes left, and then the deflection happens, and he has to swing back to his right.
For the first goal?
Yeah. Yeah, the one where it shot right at him.
From Bamba?
It took a deflection off of the defender.
Okay, because on the replays that I saw, it did not look like a deflection, so I'll have to rewatch it, but okay.
It looked like, now I could be wrong, but I was pretty sure I saw a deflection because the way he's moving, the ball's going to Colina's left, he goes to set, moves, and then to the right, he's having to swing over, stuck a hand out, and Russell's cat stealing the show.
My cat is losing his mind.
He is a total pick-me today.
I know. He's like
some main character energy. I'm trying to think of other Gen Alpha things.
He's trying to be a diva audience.
Right, he's a real Wilfred Zaha of the podcast.
Yeah, he does not want us to get anything done, which is on brand for him as a cat because he doesn't get anything done. Hey, here's another fun fact. No team, including LA Galaxy, has a worse run of form than Charlotte FC. LA Galaxy, 4 losses and a draw. Charlotte's the only team, 5 straight losses.
Charlotte did not have any great or good chances generated this game. They had 9 average chances, which they scored on, and 3 pours. And meanwhile, Chicago had 4 great chances put away, and they only scored 1. If you guys remember, great chances are supposed to go in 50% of the time. So it could have been worse.
It could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
Yeah, for
Chicago
me,
Fire and Charlotte are level on points, by the way, after this match.
Chicago, man, I'm telling you, Greg Berhalter, I don't care what you say about USMNT, blah, blah. I think he was kind of the scapegoat, but that man is a heck of an MLS club coach. He could coach my club any day.
Yeah, I agree. I said it right from the get-go. I think Chicago's going to be good this season because of Greg Berhalter. So glad to see it going well for them. For Charlotte, I think defensively they have a lot of issues that they need to figure out quickly because it is just free goals for every single team that faces them right now. And next up for Charlotte, Columbus Crew.
Yeesh.
Yikes. They're going to have to fix it up pretty quick.
Yeah, and the one thing with Charlotte defensively is they're so bad at one-on-ones. And that's the one thing, I think, is Privet is what, 24? Is that right? Is my math right?
Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe. Okay, nailed it. So Privet's 24. I think Melanda's 20, 21, maybe 22. Like, these
23
are really,
now.
23, okay. These are really young center backs. And so at that position, like it's kind of the thing with like goalkeeper 2 and center back. It's like when you make like when a striker, when Emmanuel Latte Loth makes a mistake or Ajima in this case, there's another chance coming, right? Man, when you're a center back and you make a mistake, everyone in the stadium knows you made a mistake. And it's really hard. And especially when you're that young, the mental fortitude and the mental aspect is a very difficult thing to control. because you just don't have the experience and the life experience to draw on, which is what makes anyway. But yeah, and Ream making uncharacteristic mistakes. I mean, maybe they need. I like Ashley Westwood. Maybe they need more out. Maybe they need some more midfield help. Do they need a guy who's tracking runners back?
Tell
It
you
would
what,
certainly help.
they need Tim Ream not playing left back. That's what they need. Tim Ream is not a left back.
Not
No,
not at his age.
Brant Bronico didn't play again, and I know that sounds crazy to be like Brant Bronico, but like, do you know how many times they have tried to replace Brant Bronico and he just wins the job back over and over and over? I think that not having Brant Bronico, I mean, anytime he's not playing, that seems to hurt the team. But I don't know.
That seems like a Rodrigo Schlegel type thing for Gavin's Orlando folks. Just like, hey Schlegel, we're bringing someone in to replace you. The heck you are! I'm gonna win this job back. I'm gonna prove why I should be a starting center back.
Every time, bro. Every time.
Yeah, and then rinse and repeat in the off season. All right, I'm gonna move us on though. Tears of my eyes. It's time to talk about the true newest rivalry in MLS, the Bruce Arena Derby. New England Revolution hosting San Jose Earthquakes, former Bruces versus current Bruces. We did have a wonderful correspondent corner from Matt Glenn, though, that's going to kick it off and probably lead most of the conversation here.
Yeah.
Matt Glenn writes, the Revs brought their record of 4-1-1 in their last 6 games to face the Bruce Arena-led Quakes in Foxborough. Though Porter went with his favored starting 11 in the 3-5-2 formation that has served him so well, the Quakes, without an injured Arango and a resting Espinoza, played a high-pressure style that stymied the Revs. Lovely use of stymied. Well done, Matt. That being said, the Revs didn't play all that well, sending only 2 shots on target to the Quakes' 1. The result was a choppy match that ended in a 0-0 draw. Pretty much the only eventful part of the evening was my sister-in-law getting a ball in the face from Nick Lima. Fortunately, she's fine. And Nick searched for her after the game to check on her and was really nice and relieved she was okay. And now she has an unusual souvenir, her first aid pack, signed by Nick Lima with a brief message. Remains to be seen if Campana, who left in the 32nd minute, will miss the next game or not. Hopefully, the Revs can get their offense back up and running this coming Saturday against SKC. I feel like that is not a tall ask, given that their opponent is SKC. So, Matt, I'm optimistic for your Revs this coming weekend. Gotta say, I'm shocked that this ended 0-0. I thought San Jose had some decent opportunities, not amazing opportunities, mind you, but I mean, a couple decent chances. So I would say maybe slightly fortunate to end 0-0, but I wouldn't say they had like any performance or chances or players where I was like, oh, come on, like, how could you not win this one? Like, balls round.
I think the Revs were very fortunate to get 1 point on this one. They generated 8 shots. All of them were poor. None of them, they didn't have a single good look the entire game. Whereas
That's
the Earthquakes had 1.5 expected goals. I could have seen that higher. The Revs had a 0.25. The thing that got the Earthquakes was this: 12 shots, 1 on goal.
No,
only 1 on target.
Not going to score many that way.
You are not. You certainly are not.
Fun fact, very few teams have the ability and the sheer technical prowess to win with 0 shots on goal, let alone 0 shots in general. In fact, I believe it's only been done once before by the New England Revolution's opponent coming up this weekend.
The mighty Sporting KC. The mighty.
The resurging Sporting KC. The new look under non-Peter Vermees Sporting KC. That said, I think the Revs should beat Sporting KC, personally.
I think it'll be a close matchup.
Yeah. Interesting on this. I thought that was kind of interesting. Very high amount. The Earthquakes had 16 interceptions in this game, as opposed to the Revs had 4. But it was a very one-sided interception. I don't know if that is looking at it, most of the Revs' final passes into the final third were consistently going on to the right. So it seems like there's maybe a bit of predictability there. Whereas the Earthquakes maybe a little bit more balanced. But yeah, that's the only real thing I had of note on this game. 0-0 draw next.
Yeah, I don't have much else. Just San Jose rotated this game. Like, they didn't have Beau LaRue in there. They didn't have DeJuan Jones in there. They didn't have Yosa Martinez in there. They didn't have Buddha in there. Obviously, Chicho Rong was out injured. And yet, so like they really had a weird cast of players on the field. And yet they were still the better team and probably should have come away with the win. So I think things are looking up for San Jose. I think this is actually an encouraging performance, even though they didn't get the win, considering which players were out on the field.
Yep. All right. Well, that is as much time as I'm willing to give to the 0-0 draw, and we're going to spend just as much on a surprising 0-0 draw. Fan favorite, Darlings of the West, Vancouver Whitecaps went to Austin, Texas. I think most people would have favored Vancouver Whitecaps given their recent form. This one also ends 0-0 draw. Quite interesting, especially because the Whitecaps did not look anywhere near threatening. This looked like a Whitecaps of literally yesteryear, maybe 2 years ago, in terms of what they generate, and you're just like, where's the Whitecaps that I've been seeing all year? Like, what happened?
This game shocked me, just the performance. I mean, they didn't play midweek unless they had Canadian Cup action, but I don't think they did. Um, so they had the whole week off. Austin played midweek while at home, but they still had a game midweek. So Vancouver should have come into this rested and ready to, kind of pile drive Austin FC. And yeah, I thought this was going to be a win for them. And no, Austin looked the better team. Austin was pressing. Vancouver couldn't string two passes together for like most of this game. Like, it was just a terrible performance. I don't know if they struggled with the heat. I don't know if just like they weren't in match shape or match fitness for whatever reason because they had the whole week off and Austin didn't. I don't know, but like this was a honestly kind of concerning performance from Vancouver. It was weird.
I don't know if I go into
It was
I don't know if I go into concerning off one performance, Gavin. Keep in mind, this is still the same Vancouver that prior to this were coming off a great comeback draw against LAFC and then had won multiple, I think at least 4 straight leading up to it. So, I'm not gonna hit the panic button on Vancouver over one bad performance when
Well, I'm not
nothing
saying hit the panic button, but like
it's not a concerning performance either. I'm not concerned about them, Gavin.
this is their floor. This has to be their floor for me. This was bad.
This was a bad. If this is their floor, it's bad. They look gassed and flat. That's the way. There was just they looked exhausted. That's the way I do it, and
I buy that.
I'm gonna echo Gavin on this. I'm not hitting the panic button, but I'm a little concerned because it's like they've played a poop ton of games and they have had a lot of injuries. Like the injury bug has not been kind to them. And so while I'm not sitting here and being like, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, I'm really curious about like this weekend or tomorrow. Tomorrow they play in the Canadian Championship. They could play Valor FC in the Canadian. And so it's like, I'm a little concerned, like, was this just a one-off of guys, we thought we had this, or hey, we had a certain plan, they did something different, it didn't work, we couldn't adjust. But this is a team that's pretty good. They've been, Jesper Sorensen's been really good at adjusting at halftime throughout the year so far. So I'm kind of curious. I'm hoping this is a one-off, and they have definitely so far played this year in a way in which we should definitely give them the benefit of a doubt. But man, the way they just looked so flat and so out of ideas that it was like,
tired. You guys are.
But everyone else
played than I am.
But everyone else played on Wednesday. There's only a handful of teams that didn't, and they were one. So they're tired, and they had more rest than the guys that they're just about everyone else in the league. That's the part that makes it more alarming for me. Is the fact
they've also had a lot of injuries, like you said. Can they rotate to the same degree as other teams?
That's a very fair point. Very fair point. But again,
they've had to travel for Champions Cup as well.
But even looking at like the match momentum, they were just never into it. I mean, 0.26 xg. I mean, that's.
I'm not
Who
saying
were we
this was a
talking
good
about
game for
earlier?
them.
No, but I mean, I can't remember what we were talking about earlier. That's like Charlotte bad, or actually, no, worse than that. It's like we're getting into Montreal territory. But I mean, again, they only generated 5 shots, and they didn't generate a single great or good chance. The one was average, and 4 were poor. Now, to be fair, offensively, they only gave up. They didn't give up. They gave up 0 good, but only one great shot. But Takaoka played really well. Like Takaoka saved their bacon a few times. It seemed like to me. They have XG as 1.14. There are at least twice that I feel like Takaoka made saves that he probably shouldn't have. But yeah, hopefully just they thought they were going to go in, get an easy win, and it's not the way the cookie crumbled. But
No, and I would say just on the Austin side, I continue to just be really firm in my belief that Estevez is not the guy for Austin.
Estevez is not the guy for any team.
Yeah, but I mean, look at this point, like I'm almost wondering, like, do you start putting odds out, or it's like who's going first, right? It's like, is Melberg going first? Is Estevez going first? I mean,
Dyla?
Dyla, maybe he's like, who's getting the axe? I mean, Vermees already got it, right? No one saw Vermees coming because, that was the one that, like, it needed to happen 3 years ago, not now. So, but who's next? And he's got to be getting close. I mean,
I think it has to be Melberg before Dyla, but
Melberg's. I would be shocked if Melberg wasn't within the next 2 weeks, assuming that they lose midweek in U.S. Open Cup. And if they lose at the weekend, I think 2 losses seals it for him. I think he's gone.
I don't know how you watch the game that happened this week and continue going forth. I mean, after everything that happened and then what happened, I don't know how you go, yep, this is, I mean, that.
Well, I'll tell you, Beau, we can talk about that right now by making that our next match to talk about, which is Minnesota United at home over St. Louis City. It's a great win for Minnesota United. It is a great big, punch in the teeth if you're St. Louis City. Yeah. So I believe there is a correspondent corner from Tyler on this one as well. Gavin, if you want to read this one out, just to kick us off.
Yeah, I will say as well, don't forget that Courtois also got the sack this season already as well.
I will admit
we're already at 2.
I'll admit I forget about Courtois, but it's mainly just because I forget about Montreal in general. So
understandable, unfortunately.
MLS next pro team, Montreal.
right.
Yes.
St. Louis, I'm not sure what else I can say after last week following a similar result and similar performance. There's no identity, there's no desire to win, there's no discernible attacking strategy. At this point, it's on ownership and the front office to quit the European castaway strategy. Until that changes, there's no reason to think the on-field product will. Well said, Tyler. Well said. St. Louis are, I guess, do you guys want to... Yeah, do you guys want to guess when their last win was, date-wise?
What if I already know the answer to that?
April 12th.
Were you going to ask the same
I'm
thing,
guessing.
Russell?
I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm guessing April 12th.
I can tell you who it was against, too, unless you're not counting that competition.
No, I'm not counting Open Cup. Sorry. In MLS, when was their last win? Not April 12th.
That I don't know. Yeah, that I don't know off the top of my head because I was going to say U.S. Open Cup against Union.
That's fair. And no, we're talking
which was
MLS.
Their last win.
March 15th.
I have a better idea. He did use the word castaway in that. So should we just spend the time, St. Louis, talking about the movie Castaway rather than actually talking about the train wreck that is St. Louis?
I think that's an excellent idea.
Is this an MLS podcast?
Well, no. See, you raise a good point, Beau, because I think that perhaps, this podcast, right, or the media in general, it takes on the role of Wilson, and
I was going to say, who's a better coach, Olaf Melberg or Wilson? Was going to be my guess, but my question.
Well, I was going to say because we're everyone telling people no, like this isn't normal. You should be having more fun watching soccer. We're the role of Wilson, right? We're the only thing keeping this person going. If you're the St. Louis City fan. And the island is Olaf Melberg slowly trying to drive everyone off the edge. There you go. He's got to go.
He needed to go a while ago. He needed to go
really
a while ago. Yeah. No, this was like strict. Like this was a one-way traffic. Like it's not even.
Yeah.
Again,
it's
St. Louis City. You look at their past maps. there's a horseshoe of death there. It's not as bad as some other teams, but it's there. It's evident, But it's like they looking at it's interesting. They pass it into the middle, like their left attacking mid, their right attacking mid, and their center mids, right mids. They're all together. Like there is no width at all in this team. You know where they're going to play the ball. They're going to play it in the middle, and for the opposing team, just clog up the middle. Like they're not going anywhere. I mean, if you look at Minnesota's wingbacks, like they're much more kind of close to the middle than they normally are. This is the game plan for St. Louis. They want to pass the ball right through the middle, and the other team's just like, we're just going to clog it up. And there's no width, there's no runners. Your furthest player forward, besides João Klaus, was the left wingback. Like the left wingback and João Klaus are your two attacking threats. Like it's
Bad news bears. That's what it is.
It's not how you win soccer games.
Mm-mm.
Definitely not. No.
So, and again, but I mean, this is also a team that's starting Joshua Yarrow and saying, "You're our go-to guy, man." And again, I like Yarrow. Look, I've met Yarrow. Yarrow's a nice guy, but he's not he's like Yarrow is like Sebastian Noriega 2.0. He is not a guy who, like, if you're starting him every single week, you don't actually have aspirations of winning an MLS Cup.
This is like if there was a
Yarrow
like a
catches
writing
strays.
contest, and the writing contest's prompt was 1-sentence stories to scare soccer fans, and the winning entry is Olaf Melberg as your coach.
Olaf Melberg comes off the plane.
Yeah, for Minnesota, comfortable day for them, as you guys already talked about. And I think it's just based on the opponents. But, I mean, Minnesota's been really good this season. A trend that we're seeing, though, which not surprising considering his background, but they're scoring a lot off of set pieces, which is definitely helping them get, pretty important goals and get good results. So I think that's something to keep an eye out on for Minnesota. But other than that, I just think they're playing great soccer. They're in good form. When they have all of their starting boys out there, they play really good. Attack and defense.
Thought it was kind of interesting. I think it was really important for them. They went down to Houston Wednesday, and I was there, and they looked impotent. I mean, there was no attack threat whatsoever. Like it was, it was brutal. Like literally, it was funny. The only other Minnesota United fan in the stadium was sitting next to me. He just happened to have the seat next to me. So we're just talking, and we were like, man, this is brutal. Like it was just, and so to go from that to where it's like the Houston Dynamo made you look like the Montreal Impact, like an MLS Next Pro kind of team, and then they went out there and got the job done handedly. I think was a really big thing. Also found it interesting. Connie Oluwaseyi starting, Kelvin Yeboah on the bench. Just found that interesting. That
Tawny's
DP
been playing
striker,
amazing, though, recently.
He has been out of this world. I don't think he's long in this league. I really don't. I think he's the perfect kind of striker for Italy, something like that. Like the amount of touches, it was something like touches per 100 touches, how many goals you get. He leads the league by far. Like he's incredible. So, but yeah, but I mean, could you imagine though, like it's kind of funny that they're back in the same thing where their DP strikers now starting on the bench, just like last year with Timu Pukki. But
this time,
to be able to go reasons. Right. This time it's Kelvin Yeboah, the guy who they got from Serie A. But anyway,
no, yeah. I don't know.
I'm sorry, St. Louis fans. St. Louis fans. You're in our thoughts and prayers.
I'll move us on so that St. Louis fans can get closure here. Instead, we're going to talk about... Could you imagine, though,
paying week in and week out to go see that? Paying money. You are paying them. They're not paying you. You pay money to go and watch that. Like, I'm sorry, but like, woof.
Yeah. Been there as a Cincinnati fan who had season tickets during some of the bad years.
Is there a supporters group that's like shifted or something that you guys, like a support group you guys can kind of talk about and share experiences?
And look, if a St. Louis fan needs moral support, you can message us on MLS Now podcast.
I'm sure there's definitely an Olaf Melberg like support group that goes around and meets every Thursday night.
Yeah, it's probably on like a Microsoft Teams meeting because you're probably connecting with his former teams in Europe.
We'll call it the wooden spooners.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm moving us on. Finally, we're gonna talk about very briefly another 0-0 draw. It was Nashville DC United. Beau, just for you, I wanted to pull up your favorite statistic on, or not statistic, but like chart on this episode. It's the momentum chart. Most of it, if not all of it, right? Like 90% of this chart is just yellow, quite high up, representing Nashville. And I'm like, wow, this game must have been all Nashville. Like, how did it end 0-0? And I went and I looked, right? The expected goals between these two teams did not even reach one combined. So there's issue number one. And number two, while Nashville had 5 shots on target, 4 of them is Mukhtar. And I'm pretty sure 4 of them are outside of the box, like from way out. So yeah, nothing was ever going to happen in this match.
Yeah, so Castaway is a really good movie, starring Tom Hanks. No, honestly, do you know what my note is for Nashville? It was why do we have to talk about this game?
Well, we don't have
I
to talk about
just
it much longer.
I mean it literally like there's I mean
It
DC
wasn't good.
United doesn't have Benteke. Nashville didn't have Sam Surridge. Hani
They
Mukhtar was the best player on the field. I mean, look,
Sam
DC
Surridge was
United.
there. He played for
He
45.
did. So you're right. He did sub on. I thought, yeah, they were trying to rest him, and still, you're
It
right.
it goes to show how poorly he played that Beau says they
He
didn't
didn't
have
play.
Sam Surridge.
Yeah. Um, look, DC United went out in a 4-5-1. Do you know what you're trying to do when you play a 4-5-1? You're
Put the
trying
other
to
team to
not
sleep
lose.
and the fans.
You're trying to not lose. You're like, okay, guys, we're gonna not lose. That's it. And with DC United and no Benteke, that's what this is. Roll out a 4-5-1. Hope you got some good karma stored up, and that the soccer gods are on your side. I mean, I don't know. This
They
was this was punishment. Like watching this game is is borderline cruel and unusual punishment.
and they almost DC United almost at the death stole this game, and that's exactly what they were trying to do. Is just like you said, they didn't. They came to not lose, and they tried to steal it, smash and grab, and Morel right at the end had a 1v1 with the goalkeeper and just skied it. I mean, it was just like, come on, like that would have just been amazing scenes to see that go in.
Was
Do you know
It
how
was
many
the
passes?
single big chance for the
Do you know
entire
how many
match.
passes into the opponent's box DC United had?
It could
6.
honestly be 0.
3. And
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't recall seeing
Gavin,
a
if you
number that low.
average your 0 and my 6,
They had
3.
3 passes into the opponent box, guys. I don't even the Montreal Impact aren't that bad.
They
They
genuinely did not
made
try to play in this game. They
Yeah,
didn't try.
literally they just went like we're not gonna lose. We're just gonna just be like, yeah, okay.
I made more servings of French press coffee today than DC United had passes into the final third.
That's also this exact same amount of shots they had the game, which hey is 3 times as good as Kansas City did. Although technically Kansas City had 0, so it could be an infinite number of
Yeah.
times better.
Your calculator won't like
But we're
that
going
one.
into math. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, don't check my
Well,
math.
let's pull up out of this nosedive. Let's get away from math.
But Castaway, award-winning movie.
Right, yeah,
Check it out, folks.
Castaway, award-winning movie. Okay, here's a question for you. All right, is Pablo Mastroianni considered a castaway? Because we're gonna go to the Colorado Rapids first Real Salt Lake match. Colorado Rapids win this. Okay, they have considerably less possession. They like RSL looks like they should be the ones in the driver's seat. Mihailovic gets a 70th minute goal, and it just never felt like anything was going to come for RSL after what you watched prior to that. You're just like, that's probably it. And I don't know. I don't know like what else to expect from RSL at this point. Like, is this it? Like, is this RSL? Are we seeing what they're going to be for the season at this point?
Maybe, which is disappointing because thinking back to a couple years ago when they had Arongo and Ruiz in really good form, like they were a really fun team to watch. And through injuries and just Arongo leaving and not really having attackers now, like other than Luna, They they've
And for
kind of
how long?
lost that kind of really good like interplay where they would like 1-2 touch, pass it around, play it through you, like and now they're much more just like a transition, more direct team. And then it's like get it to Luna and maybe he'll save us. So I don't see where the changes come tactically. Where like they're gonna just transform into this really fun team to watch again, and they're kind of
Because they're
back
not.
to mid block transition, and maybe Luna and now Agata will do something to win us a game.
Do you remember, Gavin, like maybe 2.5 years ago, we got really lazy, but for good reason with RSL, where we are just like, yeah, RSL, I haven't looked at the stats, but it was probably like 7 shots, 2 on goal, like 0.75 XG. That seems right. That's probably RSL, you know.
I do remember
What
that, yeah.
two big chances, one big, 2 big chances missed as well. That's why they lost. Like I feel like we're sliding back to.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I think that's kind of what I was getting at. They went from really fun to watch a couple seasons ago to sliding back into this kind of mid-level Western Conference team.
Yeah, looking at Real Salt Lake's like positional maps and passing maps, again, that this is one of the most like it is a very clear horseshoe of death on this one, and it is by far like, and even looking into their some of their passes going into the opponent's final third, about 60% of the passes come on the right side, 40% on the left. They didn't generate a single attacking chance into the box through the middle, which again shouldn't be like you're not getting most of your ones through the middle, but it should at least be an option. RSL are so dependent upon bringing the ball downfield and into the attacking third on the wing and getting the ball in that it's very, very predictable. And you can see that literally in this passing map in the horseshoe of death, that they're trying to build out of the back, and that the team is like, all right, the opposing team is just like, all right, they're going to pass it out to the side and we're going to shut off their passing lane, so then they just have to pass it back. And it's just this team's, it's too predictable. And they don't have the players or the ability to adjust. So to answer your question, yes, this is what they are. Willie Agata has not hit the ground running in this at all. And so, yeah, I mean, yes.
You
To answer
know,
your question, this is who they are.
Beau, I think what I'm hearing is we've heard of a lot of teams that are looking like horseshoes, so we need to blow up some of these systems with hand grenades.
Almost.
That was good. That it got a reaction out of Gavin, which that counts.
I mean, Gavin's kind of like half robot, so yeah, getting a reaction out of him is perfect.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, look, no, listen, he's not as much robot as Erling Haaland is, but that's the extreme outlier.
Gavin is the prototype from what became Erling Haaland. Like he's like, yeah.
Gavin's to that point where like when Gavin gets on a plane, like he doesn't just stare ahead the entire time, but he like goes to like the entertainment system and puts it on like the map my flight, like show me like the look out my window or show me like what it looks like from the front. And he just puts that on and he doesn't watch anything else, but at least he has something moving in front of him. And so like, then the software update came out with Haaland and it's like we don't even need that. Just stare straight ahead, blank screen.
I do sometimes click
Oddly
on
specific.
I do sometimes click on the look out the window or stare straight ahead.
That's exactly what a robot would say.
I read and do other stuff too, but sometimes I get bored and do that because
I'm just saying.
It's interesting. I don't know.
Never seen Gavin read on a plane. So if you sat next to Gavin on a plane and caught him reading, please reach out to us at MLS Now Podcast on social media.
Gavin, the silence is deafening on social media. Yeah. I'm sorry.
And no one's standing up for you in the 5 seconds that we've said that. And it's not just because we haven't put this episode out yet. Anyways, let's keep going through. We got just a few matches left, and we've got Portland Timbers, Seattle Saunders. It's a 1-1. It's a draw, I gotta tell you. I actually had a little bit of fun watching this match. You know, you got come on. I mean, you got like
I love this game. I love Cascadia. It's the best
early
rivalry.
Goal by Seattle, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then the man does it again. Moreno was like, hey, you know how I had a great goal? Like when I celebrated in the stands, wouldn't it be crazy if I had a second great goal? And then it's just good, clean family fun. for the next 65 minutes where nobody scores.
Two things. Did you guys notice so David Ayala with the Portland Timbers gets a yellow card early on. Later on in the game, like Ayala pushes a guy down like from behind. The referee blows the whistle, comes running up, reaches into is reaching and rummaging into his front pocket, grasps something, and then sees it's Ayala and has the realization, oh my gosh, this is about to be a red. And he takes his hand out of his pocket and abruptly changes the angle in which he's walking and just points Ayala away, walk away, walk away. Portland is very lucky to have finished the game with 11 men. That was slightly bothersome for me, but I also understand why the ref did it. But at the same time, man, come on.
Yeah. Hey, here's a really fun fact. After that Moreno goal, the Portland Timbers did not take another shot by any other player other than Moreno for the rest of the match. And it was only one other shot. They had 4 shots for the entirety of this match, and 2 of them were Moreno. Actually, no, 3 of them. 3 of them were Moreno.
That's an insane stat.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, I have this is a note I had. Are the Seattle Sounders, are they maybe the team that have the most underrated players in MLS? Okay, you don't think so, because Christian Roldan, incredibly underrated for what he does. Albert Rusnak might be one of the best number 10s in the league. Jordan Morris is a definite top 10 striker in the league when he's healthy. Yamar is a top 3 center back. But yet, if I said, hey, name me tops in these positions, you're not going to name any of those guys.
None of them are the top player in that position, but
I didn't say who was the top, but if I was give me guys who are in the running, none of them are you're not going to name Albert Rusnak or Christian Roldan or Jordan Morris or Yamar.
But because there's a clear top 3 to 5 better players in them. But Beau, I see where you're going with this, and I agree in the sense of what Seattle have done is when you go look at NFL teams, and it's just oh yeah, these they're teams that play in the NFC, right? And you're all these AFC teams went out and they got all these superstars. So why is it that the Eagles, who don't play in the AFC, are going and winning the Super Bowl? And it's because they go and get top 10, top 20 guys at every single position. And it's is it the superstar? No, but you've got a great team across the board that just always performs, competently. And that works. That wins championships. That's why That's why the Sounders are, a perennial, everyone says, oh, they've got a chance at it. They're going to do it this year. Can't count them out. They've got all this depth. It's yeah, they've got really good quality guys across the board. I don't think any of them are the star player where you're just oh yeah, this guy clearly, best in the position. Hey, that's just not them. I don't think that's their identity.
Yeah, I think they just have a really, really solid group all across the board. There isn't really a guy that you look at and go, oh, that guy's a dud. They just always have contributing players within their squad.
That's a great spot to be in. How many teams would love to be able to say, every single player that we put out on the 11 is a contributor? We don't have any guys that we put out there and it's well, we'd like a better one, but it's a salary cap league and we can't afford a better left back.
Right. Yeah.
What I think is also equally important, you talked about going out and getting these guys, but Rothrock, Reagan, and Manuhu, Vargas, these are all guys they developed themselves. They're not only just going out finding these guys, they're creating them as well, which I think is just kind of another feather in their cap. But all right, so you don't agree with me. It's okay. You can be wrong. It's fine.
Right. Well, Beau, you had to disagree with me earlier. So now I've got to disagree with you now.
So you didn't even really disagrie with me. You just did it out of pettiness and spite. Okay.
I do actually also
Do you even remember the question I asked, Russell? Or was it just blind fury?
I think you said something about was Tom Hanks in Castaway an underrated actor, and I was no, obviously Wilson was the underrated actor, and it was everyone knows Tom Hanks was
you were listening. Okay, good.
But nobody talks about Wilson in Castaway. There's no pop culture media references to him. There's absolutely no recognition for the hard work.
He's got to get a new agent.
Object. Yeah,
got to get a new agent. His PR staff is terrible.
Right. So
I will say from the beginning, I was secretly hoping you were going to go Castaway on that, and you didn't let me down. So thank you.
I would never let you down, Beau.
That's why they pay you the big bucks, man.
Well, here's the thing. We actually just reinvest all of the big bucks into, MLS Now crypto schemes that we trick ourselves into, and then we get surprised when our own crypto doesn't do well. So there you go. It's the moral of the story. Stay out of crypto, folks.
I don't know what to say to that. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what, we're going to go.
It's depressing.
It's depressing, and yet it's kind of a perfect segue because speaking of crypto, San Diego FC versus Sporting Kansas City. So San Diego Sporting KC. This is one I had circled on the calendar. I'm like, this is gonna be a great match, and it's being 0-0. So what do I know, right? I did see some great memes just in general about Snapdragon Stadium, so at least the internet didn't let me down there. My worries continue for the state of that field going forward. I mean, otherwise, I don't know, it's Sporting KC. They took, let me see here, 2 shots, and the total expected goals of that was 0.05. Yes, that seems about right for Sporting KC.
I don't know what I mean, and their 2 shots were poor sharts. It was sharts. That's kind of what this was actually. This was They went out and they didn't take shots. They took sharts, people.
Yeah,
there hasn't been just for San Diego. There hasn't been a ton of rotation recently from them. I don't think. I feel like I've seen a lot of the same players play all these games. Obviously, you're going to have your stars out there, Jair Lozano, but like Sverskov, De La Torre, Godoy, like they are holding it down in the midfield. The defense is largely the same. McVeigh, McNair. Now you don't see center backs rotate all that often, but like it just feels like the players were probably a little bit tired in this game for San Diego.
I bet they were.
That was the vibe I got.
They've got some good players. They've got some good players, some good depth guys who are injured right now.
Who's injured?
You've got Ingvartsen is injured, Diop's injured, Reyes is injured.
Yes.
There you go. That's 3 contributors right there. Probably why they look gassed. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, anytime you play Sporting Kansas City, I think right now you have to expect a win. They did not get the win. They probably did enough to get the win, but
this is the same Sporting Kansas City, by the way. Remember we were like, oh my gosh, DC United had 3 passes into the opponent's box. Sporting Kansas City had 1. Not to be outdone, Sporting Kansas City was like, hold my beer, DC United. I've got this here.
They wanted to go for the 2-time in the same season is what it was. They were like, maybe if we make if we make 1 pass into the box and get an own goal with it, then we can break our own record with a somehow even more catastrophically terrible performance.
Hey, both shots were taken by Suleimanov in this game. So he's the only one who took a shot in this game for SKC.
Yeah. I can't believe that we
hit the post, right? Didn't hit the crossbar one? Or am I getting that confused with the midweek game? I think I'm getting confused with the midweek game with St. Louis.
I think you are.
One of them hit the crossbar.
Yeah, so when they meant on target, they meant literally on target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, here's a fun fact. The post one, it wasn't counted as on target.
Yeah, no, it doesn't count as on target, unfortunately.
Which is, that I'd like to speak with the person who's in charge of that.
You'd like to speak with the manager, would you, Russell? You want to speak with the
manager? Not a manager. I'd like to speak with the owner of
you're going straight to the top.
Oh yeah, no. We're going straight to the source on that one. But hey, side note, can you believe we dunked on Suleimanov and being like, why would you get this guy? He's not going to do anything. This seems like just a way to get a free player and roll, their fee into another guy, and that way you can make it look like a win. And we said that preseason, and then now Suleimanov is the only person on that team who's consistently being mentioned and taking shots, and I'm like, oh, he's kind of doing better than I expected him to.
But that's the thing; it's he's not really that
the problem.
Good. It's just he looks amazing because he's surrounded by actual garbage.
That's you've got the you got that Spaceballs reference going through my head right now.
So yeah, I think he's the behind Joveljic. He's the leading goal scorer on the team. So he's the second leading goal scorer. He has 3 goals. And
is he one of 2 people who've scored goals?
There's a couple of goals out there across the team, but like, yeah, there's barely any goals out there. Oh, sorry, no, he scored. I read it wrong. He has 3 assists. He scored one goal,
and he's the second leading goal scorer. Yeah,
sorry,
okay.
no,
Makes sense.
No, I thought the 3 was the goals. So he is not the second leading goal scorer. It's Joveljic, and then maybe Tommy, who has 2 goals. Oh, Shallowy has 4 goals. I was reading the little icons wrong. But
Gavin, can you filter? Can you filter on goals scored? And
maybe not. It's not that big of a deal. Suleimanov, we're saying his name like Beau said because he is the
best of the worst.
Yeah, I was gonna say something along the lines of the least stinky pile of shit on this team. Excuse my language.
Wow, okay, so no, honest question: if you, let's say, Sporting KC, like the literally the league is like, I'm sorry, this is too abysmal to watch. We're shutting the team down, and your team, you get like,
you're the LA Galaxy.
There's a re-entry draft for all the players.
Right. I was gonna ask, like, who are the players on this team like that are actually like, who are actually worth taking and giving an MLS contract to?
Davis,
Joveljic.
Okay, I was like, to me, it's Davis and Joveljic. Is there anyone else?
Shallowy, maybe, right as like a depth guy.
Okay, but Shallowy's on a DP deal, man.
Yeah.
What?
He's a DP.
Come again?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Shallowy is the team captain and is a DP.
Insane. Brody would be my other one. Shallowy is DP and captain. Well, I can't speak to captain, but DP is insane. I would take Brody as well. Love Brody.
Welcome to Peter Vermees ball.
Like some intro about Brody.
I do. Love
Can you believe though
Brody.
that we still live in a world in which Kyrie Shelton plays meaningful minutes in MLS?
I don't know. I mean, outside backs are. It's not a strong position in this league.
He started as a winger, and he just failed there, so they kind of just shoved him at right back.
Yeah.
Again, not a strong position in this league. It doesn't. I don't think the bar for success at that position is very high.
Yeah, it's like people who play wingback, it's like you weren't good enough as a winger, so they're like, we can get you on the field over here. Like no one grows up like, I can't wait to play left back, coach. Like, yeah.
Someone might. To all left backs who are listening to this podcast, including Gavin, who started off as a left back, failed, and got all the way up to a striker position where they figured he wouldn't be responsible for doing any sort of defensive work. We apologize.
I can't believe you remember that. You have an insane memory.
There you have it. Anyways, not to be outdone, my memory reminds me that we have one more match before we can actually close out this episode, saving the iconic one for last. El Trafico. Man, oh man. If I'm Galaxy, I feel like I got robbed of 3 points. This could very well have been their first win. Maybe it should have been.
It's really good to know that Gabriel Peck actually showed up and that his evil twin, who has disguised himself as a mediocre MLS player, has finally been kicked to the curb, and that the real Gabriel Peck is back. We hope.
We can only hope. Also, Marco Royce scores twice in this match. I think that's now half of all of his goals scored in MLS.
He scores twice, but also one of them is the ball bounced off his ricocheted off of him into the net. So
still is a goal.
It still is a goal, but
his second goal was an absolute worldie, though. I mean, incredible. Like that's what, when they were signing him, they thought he was going to be doing that every single week.
Question: does a keeper who is actually not on the downside of his career make that save? You don't agree? Okay, I do. I think this was a. Now I'm not saying no, but I think Christian Kalina probably makes that save.
Not in his current form. Maybe Berkey. On the free kick goal, I would say it's hard for any keeper because of the wall that LA Galaxy put up. I believe they put up a wall as well to block the view, and I think that contributed. If I remember correctly, I'd have to go watch the highlight, but I think there's a Galaxy wall that makes it hard to see the ball.
As well, I mean, the LAFC wall also had a person laying underneath, so whatever visibility you might have gotten of seeing where the guy's feet were, again, I don't think anyone would have been able to react with the amount of vision that he had.
I thought with that you were going to be so he couldn't lay down on the ground and see where the ball was going to go when they jumped up. So,
that's very true.
I mean, how is he going to save it?
Right. And I
how's he
mean,
going to do it? I don't know.
Beau, you're asking a really good question that I don't have an answer to, and I don't think we as a community, being a hard hitting like podcast community, I don't think we're ready for that conversation yet.
Hey, on one thing though, Aaron Long with the big brain moment did you guys see that giant leap forward? That was incredible. Like that was pretty sweet to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I just want to say that Sanabria, not a fan of Sanabria there,
Me
LA
neither.
Galaxy. I, good sir, would dare say that he is, it's a good word, terrible, awful,
Okay.
wretched, horrendous.
Sell him in the middle of the season window.
Who would buy him? Like, who watches this and is like, guys, I'm going to solve our problems. Yes, we're in the 4th tier in Uzbekistan, but I'm telling you, this Sanabria guy, this will change our fortunes, folks. I don't think anyone's going to buy this guy. Yeah, Sanabria is awful. I will say you could tell a huge difference whenever Paintsill stepped out on the field. His explosiveness and everything, man, just they really need him to be healthy. Like he is so good at soccer.
He was fired up in this game.
Wasn't he? I feel like he spent a lot of time on the ground. But
he did, yes.
Yeah.
And
He was
yelling
doing
at
his
the
best
ref.
impression of kindling the fire for the Galaxy, right?
And I mean, look, the other thing was like, look, he was like, look, Hugo Lloris, this is how you're supposed to lay down to watch the ball to block the Marco Royce free kick. Like he was showing him that. So, right.
Well, and that's why Hugo Lloris doesn't save it, because he's like,
True,
I've seen more
like,
of the
I can't
soccer
do it that
world than
well.
you.
Right.
Yeah, and
Or
he's
he was like with Paintsill, he's like, I clearly can't do it that well, so I'm not about to embarrass myself and follow up with
that's
that.
fair. That's very fair.
Hey,
Hey, just as a side note, I did fact check you when you talk about Aaron Long. There was no player on LAFC that had a worse match rating than Aaron.
Right, but he did single-handed. No, really? No, Are you using FOTMob?
I am, yes.
Okay, well, there's your first problem. No,
Wow.
I had Igor, Frankie Amaya, Marlon, Delgado, Tillman, Martinez, Abobasi, Palencia, then Long.
Well, you're wrong. FOTMob is the official source.
The official source of the MLS Now podcast.
The official source, not a sponsored thing. Could be.
On Sanabria, just quick. There was a moment in the second half where he wins the ball in a perfect transition opportunity, and the game stretched. And I'm sure he's tired, but like he just turns away from a transition when it's still 2-1, and it's like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Like, he had runners. He just literally just was like, no, I'm not going forward. I'm keeping possession. It's like, that was not the time. So just poor decision making there. We didn't get a chance to talk about this in the midweek episode, Russell, because we posted the episode Thursday, or actually Wednesday night, and the news dropped Thursday. But it'd be remiss of us to not talk about Greg Vanney getting an extension right after losing a 2-0 lead away from home to lose 3-2 to continue their winless streak to the season. I want to get your guys' take on Greg Vanney's extension at this point in the season.
I think it's a weird time to do it, but if I recall correctly, there was other news, like it was the end of the week. They're probably hoping to news dump it and people wouldn't pay attention, and that, Tom Boggart wouldn't just tweet out or post on Instagram or all of his story feeds and, blow up everyone's notifications and be like, historic, terrible start for LA Galaxy earns Greg Vanney contract extension. And it's like, I feel like the context there is, he won MLS Cup, and so you're probably always going to get the contract extension after winning MLS Cup. It's just weird timing. Like, why wouldn't you just do that in the offseason and then announce, like, he's here to stay? MLS Cup winning head coach Greg Vanney earns contract extension during the historic, 6th MLS Cup win offseason. And doing it in the middle of terrible season is a choice.
I can tell you that this obviously this doesn't just happen overnight, right? Like it takes a while to get this stuff
No.
done.
Yeah, no.
Greg Vanney, they have been discussing contract stuff since they won MLS Cup, and that Greg Vanney has been requesting, having won MLS Cup, he wanted to be the highest paid coach in the league, and that was kind of their stalling point. That was kind of where talks were. It was they were civil. It wasn't anything, but that was kind of where talks were. So I kind of wonder if they maybe this run of form, maybe a more realistic asking price came down, kind of a combo of Greg is like, yeah, I'll take any contract extension, right? Because if they fire him, they have to pay the contract out. So he's going to be more willing to take it, and now they can get him at a discounted price. And so yeah, it doesn't. It's weird timing for sure but at the same time, I don't.
I think the
It,
extension was always coming.
I think that it should. I think.
So the front office definitely have more than just this season in mind. They are looking at like a 5-year plan, probably three to 5 year plan, and they're probably looking at this season like it's a wash. This season's done. Like they're probably, I promise you, in behind the scenes, they're saying, yeah, there's not much we can do about this season. We had a terrible start, injuries to Ricky Puig, and then our DPs go down injured, and the momentum's not with us. Maybe we can claw into the playoffs and see what we can do, but like that's literally our only hope, and that's what they were talking about at the beginning of the season too. Is all we have to do is make the playoffs, and then you never know because Ricky Puig will be back and everything will be amazing.
They're 14 points out of a playoff
Yeah, they're
spot
not.
in the West.
It would be a shock. I mean, we've seen it from worse. I mean, we've seen it from SKC, but like, so it is possible. But
was SKC down 14 points though?
I think so.
I thought they were down like 10.
Maybe it was 10. But like, still, I highly
10, 14. I mean,
I'm not saying they're gonna make the playoffs. I'm saying that's really all they have to hope for is like maybe they sneak in at like 9th place somehow. But anyways, I think the front office are looking at it long term. If they think Greg Vanney's the guy who's going to deliver them success in the next 3 years after they get reloaded, then like, okay, fair enough.
I don't disagree with you. I actually think that's actually a really good take. If you think, look, we're going to have Puig, we're going to have Paintsill, and we're going to have Peck long term, and you've just won an MLS Cup, and you know that this works. Ride out the storm, give the guy back his shiny new toys and see what he can do with it. And maybe kudos to them for not overreacting to this, right? Because I mean, but I think when you are literally in historic form and not in the good way, where like you're breaking records that no one, you're setting new records every week. That's not the kind of thing that any other manager keeps their job over. I mean, literally, like like, look, we all talk about Vermees stuff, right? But like Vermees was eventually fired. It never got this bad. Like, so
Vermees was also on a downward slide for like 5 years, though.
And look, I'll admit, I'm not a Greg Vanney fan, at all. I think he's good at what he does and stuff, but that he relies on needing to have good wingers, and that I also think too. I think that this is a team last year when Dejan Joveljic was injured, struggled mightily. And when they got him back, they started winning again. And now Joveljic is gone. So I don't think that everything is going to be as peachy as everyone thinks it's going to be whenever Puig stuff comes back, because even with Paintsill, Peck, and Puig, they weren't great without Joveljic. They weren't going in and smashing and grabbing, stealing points they shouldn't have. And so, yeah, I'm not a big Vanney fan because I think he's very much a one-trick pony. This is what I do. Hey, to each their own. Again, they have the star. No one else does, so whatever.
Consider myself a Vanney agnostic.
I am not. I'm definitely
open to the possibility of
a Vanney.
Vanney. Yeah, but I am not willing to blindly believe in Vanney. Whereas, we are devoted Vanney Sartini followers here on the podcast. So
right.
Fanatics, some would even say.
All hail Vanney Sartini.
The other right. Vanney.
Well,
yeah. I tell you what, if there was ever gonna be like a religious, figure made of a coach, though, I mean, it would have to be Sam Allardyce, right? like Fireman Sam. They're gonna, the Pope's gonna make him, a patron saint of firemen everywhere on his passing.
Him or Bielsa, man. People are in love with Bielsa.
Yeah,
Tata would become the patron saint of all Argentinians.
I think that one's gonna be reserved for Lionel Messi.
That's probably true.
I can't wait to see what Messi does post playing life. Like, what are the odds you think that he just like retires and rides off into the sunset and no one ever hears from him?
He's going into
That's
hiding.
exactly it.
He's going into
Yes.
hiding. He's
already actually bought another planet and is just going to fly off and go over there and become the best player on that planet too.
Very exclusive. He's actually going to paint Mars blue and white instead of making it red.
Gosh. Oh. Actually, never mind.
Yeah, no comment there. No comment there. Anyways, guys, do you have anything else to add before we wrap up a very short episode, all things considered? I don't know if we could have made this one any shorter.
Rivalry week. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I will add, if you haven't
please do.
If you haven't given vanilla chai tea a try, give it a go. I highly recommend it. Personally, I'm a coffee guy. Coffee, a little splash of vanilla creamer, that's me. But vanilla chai tea, guys, highly recommend it. Just a little splash of some honey, agave nectar. Really hits the spot.
I got to tell you, that sounds like the furthest thing from vanilla chai tea, because when you say vanilla chai tea, I think of chai tea with nothing added into it. Because it's vanilla, plain,
Well, it has actual vanilla, like little bean things ground up in it.
Gavin's eyes almost rolled out of his head.
Russell's being an idiot.
Is doing the thing where he's like, technically,
actually,
yeah. I had to tell a student the other day. I was like, "Look, no one likes the technically guy. Don't be the technically guy." After the third technically attempt,
it's the Futurama thing. You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
I have not heard that one.
Your camera followed you perfectly on that, Russell. We might have to clip that last part.
You can clip it if you so choose. Anyways, well, with that said, it sounds like no one has anything else of value to add other than besmirching the idea that coffee would ever need anything in it. I can't believe that Beau would ever say to add vanilla creamer into coffee. It's an affront.
I like the way vanilla tastes, man. I can't have chocolate, so it's like one of the few things,
And you just get the coffee, Beau. It's easy. It's simple. It's timeless. It's perfect.
I'm feeling judged. I'm feeling triggered.
You should feel very judged right now.
This is not a safe space.
It's not a safe space for non-basic coffee drinkers.
Did you just call me basic?
Yeah, I'm basic. The opposite of basic.
At least you didn't call you vanilla.
That'd be a compliment. I'd take that.
What if I called you Vanilla Ice?
Then I would probably go boom, boom, boom,
and with that great soundtrack in the background, we're gonna pull.
I started singing a
totally
different song. I started singing the Under Pressure song. I don't know.
That's all right. Everyone, you want to try it again? You want to be a background once again? I'll retry and outro us, or no? You want to just call it there?
You know what? I feel like I've embarrassed myself enough that.
All right. Well, if you would like to call out Beau's embarrassment on social media, you can find him on Blue Sky at MLS Gamut. Please send all of your critiques about his knowledge of Vanilla Ice there, or to the podcast, MLS Now Podcast, on social media. And more importantly, just a reminder, if you haven't done so already, you can wish him a happy birthday to Gavin on social media at LionsBlog1. Gavin, I promise that's the last time we'll remind people.
Gavin, happy birthday, man.
Thanks, Beau. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Russell.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Finally, it only took 3 episodes for Gavin to say thank you.
I don't think that was
sincere. And that he appreciated it. No, that I'll have you know, okay? Gavin as a robot isn't programmed with a sincerity module. So it sounds like a Dwight Schrute, it is your birthday statement, but that is how Gavin expresses appreciation.
Or is that like the new sarcasm module, like the new sarcasm update that came in a little flat, but early iterations, folks.
Right. This is still an alpha release. We're not even close to a closed beta. So
yeah.
Anyways, as always,
my son's beta fish just died.
Well, on that terrible, awful tragedy, right? We're gonna also kill off this episode too. So there you have it. Thanks again, folks, for listening. We appreciate you sticking around for the nonsense as always. Remember, you can find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. Listeners, Beau, Gavin, my cat, who's finally stopped yelling into the microphone. As always, until next time.
Rip beta fish.